See if this is streaming. Yeah, it is streaming. Okay. Hello everyone. What we see today here is Nakamura versus Giri. Это раунд робин. Окей, они все играют между собой. Гири вчера проиграл этому, но он МФЛ, он продолжает играть. Okay, so that's this game. What else going on here? So we have another Rogozin. Continuation of the discussion in Rogozin. Они уже играли в Блиц этого Рогозина. Так. Okay. So let's also open chess 24. Just in case. And we see some games here as well. Okay. 92. Don't really know all this theory, so this looks pretty interesting. Rook c1, 94, 92. Okay, let's check it out. c4, 6, 3, d5. Bishop b4, cd, d. Okay. Bishop b4, cd, 4, bishop f4. And then what happened? Bishop f4, knight c6, rook c1. 94, now we have knight here. And this is what? Opening Explorer. Let's open this thing. Hi guys, hi everyone. I apologize, I'm a couple of minutes late before the start of this. So I'm looking at the games here and I see that 92 actually is the first line. So rook c1 is a very unusual move, right? Usually I play something simple like e3, but rook c1, very interesting. 92, now a very extremely aggressive Firouzja move here. Nakamura Giri, it's pretty standard, but still kind of surprising opening choice by Giri. Very fighting opening choice, but g5, bishop e3, because that's the whole point probably by white. He delays playing e3 so he can save the bishop now. And if f5, then f3, f4, bishop g1, I guess. So that's very interesting. g5, we can see here some games have been played, right? Some recent games, some not. So g5 was played. And now bishop e3. And Xiong played it basically last year. And white has very good score here. Because we can see the second line, f5, then just knight takes e4. e3, so black has to take on c3, play rook and bishop a3, followed by f5. So this is going to be an interesting fight. Hi, Coffee Attack. Hi, everyone. So this has been played. So take, bishop a3, rook b1. So we're still following some games here. And right now we're expecting f5. So that's pretty interesting. It's very cool that LiChess has this opening explorer, like with some database of games, right? So f5 looks very, very interesting now. Okay, so they're blitzing out their moves, but I'm pretty sure that Firouzja is out of his prep, because okay, f5, g3. Okay, makes sense, because if black plays f4 at some point, it just opens his king a little bit. Castles, makes sense. First line. Now, of course, is the key question: is white going to try to play f4 followed by knight f3, e5, or he's gonna play knight f3 first? As we can see, comp really likes f4 with the idea of knight f3, e5, and Magnus is taking his time here. Let's open the. Let's open this. Let's see what these guys are. Webcams show. They only show Nakamura's cam right now. I don't see what's going on. So have 14 people in the chat already. Hi and welcome everybody. Welcome newcomers. Welcome all guys. Regulars, I mean. So f4 is the basic threat. Knight f3 or f4 white can play. Yeah, I disabled my Wisebot chat, so I'm not sure if some of my notifications will work here. Yeah, that whole chat thing is a mess. I need to spend like a couple of days on this to figure out again how to do this right. I had like so many chats. Like I had the MoveBot, I had the Nightbot, I had the Wisebot. Anyway, going back to chess. F4 looks very interesting. So we see here, okay, there are no games here played, but we see that here there were some games here. I don't know, G3 castles, F4 looks pretty interesting. No challenges. I don't want any challenges. Give us the line. Okay, right, it's black to move. So it's actually interesting button, right? So we can analyze this position with sort of black threatening if he has a move, right, or white. The Rogozin is basically queen b3, and the computer really likes f4 or knight f3, which I kind of preferred as well. I think knight f3 makes perfect sense if you want to sort of keep that bishop on the e3 c1 diagonal, right? And you sort of invite black to play f4 and open his own king. And then, of course, that bishop goes to c1, b2, and c4 break or something. That would make a lot of sense to me. Well, they started with the 15 minutes, so he spent 2 minutes. He's not exactly blitzing it out. Queen b3 I really don't like, because that queen is going to get hit with knight a5, which is pretty good move for black, because he needs to close this c4 square anyway. So f4 now, knight a5 probably, and his idea was that, right, so the idea is if black plays g4, he cannot play it because of bishop g2, bishop e6, queen takes b7, I guess, because rook on b1 is protected. No, I don't play fantasy. And black obviously cannot capture on f4 because he'll be stuck with the worst pawn structure. So let's go back here. So we have seen queen b3 played, bishop e7, first line, f4, and now g4 is really bad because, you know, black is losing a very important pawn on b7. So black is forced to play knight a5 here. The question only is why white cannot play this move and then take here. Is because of f4. f4 is not the everyday, you know, normal typical GM kind of move. So b5 makes absolutely perfect sense to me. Queen c2, and then I think any GM would probably take on g5 here. I have no idea what this f4 is all about. What's going on? What if I take it and then bishop f5, of course, right? Oh wait, he just goes bishop d6, grabs the pawn, for example. Yeah, but this is okay. So black is better, right? So white cannot capture this pawn. He'll have to play bishop g2. But black has huge hold on the center, I believe. I really like this bishop d6, you know, it's like completely ignoring this g5 pawn, because if black managed to play f4, then he's better, I guess. So that is, I think Magnus didn't analyze this position really too well. LiChess has the moves too in the broadcast section, really? That's great. Let's try it out, right, guys? Let's try it out. What do we have here? Maggie's bogies. All right. Okay. Doesn't look. I like chess bomb kind of more. Just looks nifty to me. You have the stockfish right here, and you have moves here. And the board looks kind of bigger, so I kind of prefer this version. So knight a5, queen c2, and now I'm very curious what he's gonna do. Let's go back quickly to Nakamura versus Giri. Yeah, you guys were right. This is round robin, right? Giri lost yesterday to MFL, but he's still in the tournament, so they play round robin, I guess. But yeah, this is very unpleasant for black. I'm not sure why black decides to exchange this very nice knight on f6. Because exchanging that c3 knight is actually favors white here. The idea is that knight on c4 is a monster on the white square. Black cannot touch it with his bishop. And then white will slowly play f3, 4, bishop f4, grab the center, right? Attack this poor pawn on d6, and then follow by rook b1, b4. Basically, that bishop on g7 will be reduced to the role of the, observer. I mean, in Benoni, if this is what Giri wanted to play, black needs pieces to create some sort of suicidal, sacrificial attack on the white king, or black really needs pieces because his pawn structure is not that good, especially with knight on c4. So let's go back to this game. Let's see, we have queen c2 here. I'm gonna just keep Magnus' game on board here. So what happened here? Think bishop f4. Okay, knight a5, and queen c2 has been played. So we see that black is doing fine here. Normally, I'll think about playing g4, but not in this case, because after h3, probably black has to play something like this, but then, this c4 looks pretty good. Yeah, it's sort of starting to open this position a little bit. Bishop g2, I don't know, maybe. What about bishop e6 here? And then, okay, so you have this crazy stuff with c4, king f2, double and rooks on the h file. I'm still not extremely convinced here, so let's take a look at this line here. How bad can this be, right? I mean, in order to understand the danger, you have to figure out how bad can things go if you let things proceed at the level. So queen d7. I don't see, like, this is 0.6 only, this is not much, right? If rook h1, just rook h8. I mean, if knight was on e5, then white would definitely have something, but right now I don't see, like, what white has. So g4, it can be probably playable. So the computer gives this evaluation, but then he drops it. Yeah, that's typical of the computer. So what happened in the game? He played c6. Yeah, very, very, very interesting. Black just holds the fort, sort of, and invites white to play c4, which probably is not a good idea. Because, if you go for this line, then there is queen d5, right? Double attack. Benoni is strange stylistically for Giri. Well, Naka... Chessbomb looks a little bit, yeah. Hi guys, hello. Naka looks like Solidation to Benoni. Yeah, he is. I mean, I think Naka has more experience in those type of structures than Giri does. Because Naka's been playing Blitz and he's playing all sorts of openings, and I think he played King's Indian on a very professional level previously, right before he switched to Queen's Gambit. So Gary's kind of like out-experienced in this opening, and the way he plays it, it clearly shows that he's relying more on the structure than on piece activity. So okay, so Queen goes to c2. c6, let's see what happened in this game. Bishop g2, bishop d6. So Firouzja knows what he is doing, right? So he knows that the white cannot capture this pawn because this structure is really bad for white, right? Because there's bishop f5 coming, king can't castle. I mean, this would be a typical coffee house player move, but then after bishop f5, intermediate move, black is just much better. So this is why computer plays knight f3, tries to hold on to that pawn. And then we go into this very forced sequence where black just recaptures this pawn. And it looks like very, very close to being equal, right? King h8, rook g1. But black's slightly better. I think black is slightly better. Because again, knight and queen are very powerful. Knight has huge potential, because if he jumps to c4, goes to 3 d2, then black is just better. Right, so let's go back to queen c2. Let's go back to the game. We see that Magnus started thinking, because he realizes he is not really better here. But he is up on time. Firouzja is only down to 6 minutes. Magnus has 3 minutes up on him. White's not ready to open up yet. Exactly. Very good observation. So c6 has been played. Again, bishop g2, bishop d6. So I'm very curious as to what's going on what's going to happen here. Let's go back to quickly Nakamura versus Giri. Bishop d2, queen d3. White is trying to avoid any f3, e4 playing too early, avoiding f5 pin, right? So he plays this move, then f3, and bishop c3. Very interesting. Now that black plays f5, bishop c3 makes sense. Sort of opens black, eliminates black's defender. And of course, black cannot exchange on c3 because white takes with the pawn, put that pawn on c4, and sort of starts, gets this extremely good structure, right? And now the rook is being kicked out, and the bishop e1. I'm not sure. I like the computer move here. Rook e1, rook followed by e4, preparing this e4 because knight on c7 is really bad. Black wished this knight was on f7, right? Then he would be, then black would be okay, protecting the pawn, you know, e5 square, etc. But bishop e1 is interesting. It's not bad. White is playing sort of waiting game here. He knows he is better strategically. This bishop covers b4 square, can go to g3, right? So probably something like rook a b1, preparing this b4, which is going to be pretty standard way for white to play this position. So again, Nakamura is playing this very slow. So bishop d6. Magnus is thinking. I'm pretty sure he doesn't like this position much. White is ready to open up the position. Yes. So again, probably the most likely move here is making castle. Let's go back to our observation board here. So we see the first three lines by white is queen d3, c4. c4 makes sense. It's like always, it's like a knee-jerk reaction, right? Trying to open the center for white bishops, but exactly not sure. You cannot really castle here because after rook e8, bishop f2 is really bad, right? I mean, this pawn on e2 just hanging, so queen d3, then queen e7, rook f3 is impossible because of g4, so you have to play here, and then of course white just the pawn down. So there is no castling for white, so that's why the reason why computer suggests queen d3. I really like queen e7, and now you can probably take this pawn. Yeah, now you can take this pawn. So queen e7 is probably not that great. So what happens if you just take this pawn? So it's like a battle of wills here about this f4 square. This is really good for white now. He's got this really fantastic square in e5 for his knight, and if that knight gets exchanged, then potential very strong pawn. Again, not that much that really is winning. You can't call this winning really, because this bishop on g2 is in lockdown. But okay, gf4 is interesting. g4 probably is not that great. Again, c4, immediately breaking open the center. So take, h3 for example. And if you take on h3, then black is stuck with the weak pawn, which is why I really like to play h5 in this position. But we can see that there is such thing as rook b5 here, right? Sort of this rook pinning the knight and pawn to this location. The threat is also rook h6, which is next move, right? And black is just worse. So queen d3 would be a very sneaky move by Magnus. So let's see if he finds this move. Oh, he plays c4 immediately. Okay, so let's take a look at that. c4. Then black just takes on f4. And I think Magnus just, well, he has to take with the bishop, right? But he's probably thinking about this line. What is this line? Queen h4 check. And this looks like pretty good position for black, actually. Although it's very tricky. This is a very not standard position, right? Queen f2. Hit the bishop first and then take on d4, because now queen takes the g1 square away from white's rook. Take on d5. You cannot really take because of I thought rook b5, but the computer shows e3. I wonder why is that. And because there is thing as queen c7. Queen c7, the tricky computer, of course. So you see, this is like really unbalanced situation here. Let's see what's going on. Oh, Magnus took with the pawn. He kind of a little bit chickened out, because he was supposed to take with the bishop here for sure. You need to get rid of this bad bishop on e3. And I don't know. I thought that this would probably, maybe he was afraid of bishop e6 here, but even cd5 looks okay, right? cd5, the bishop takes, then g1, king h8, bishop d5. And we have queen d5, then queen c5, so pawn takes, it's about equal. Alright, so let's see. I don't know. It's really tough. See, the difference is like huge in the evaluation. And black plays rook e8. And white suddenly just... oh, bishop e6, right? Yeah, and the bishop on d6 is just so much better than white's bishop on a3. That's the reason why I only wanted to exchange... I mean, to recapture on f4 with the bishop. Hi guys. So that's actually, I'm very surprised that Magnus took with the pawn here, not with the bishop, but okay. So he took with the pawn, bishop e6 makes perfect sense. Black develops, right? He knows about those 3 deadly chess sense, you know, finishing the development is important. And now we see capture, queen c3, it's first line. It's like sort of a trick because black cannot take on c4, d5, rook g1, right? And now he castles, finishes the development. So see, white wants to finish the development, and I would probably consider taking with the bishop here because that bishop is kind of really good. Yeah, light squared bishop is good. So, but maybe he was afraid of some rook b5 here. Though it's not possible, rook c8, right? So knight f3 or castling. Yeah, knight f3, probably he didn't like knight f3 here. And then this knight goes to... I really like black's position better because if his knight gets to e4, you know, this knight will be unstoppable. You see, guys, the difference in the bishop's power here is going to be huge, right? But black took with the pawn, castles, and then we see what? Castles, king h8, probably good. Yeah, avoiding all those potential rook g1 things. Knight f3, knight c4, and queen d3. So both knights are heading to e5, e4 squares respectively. So let's go here, knight f3, knight c4, queen d3, right? So the pawn is hanging, the knight is coming to e5. Magnus is okay, he's doing okay with the knight on e5. Black, I mean, this is very close to equal position. It's now the matter of the structure, right? In terms of the structure, if we just exchange all those pieces going to the pawn endgame, white is completely lost, right? Because he has 3 pawns here in the center, are being held by these 2 pawns, and black has a pass pawn here. So this e2 pawn is like, doesn't exist, okay? But because we're not in the game yet, and white closes this pawn by placing his knight on e5. So he closes off this e file, he protects this weakness, and the game goes on. And then we have, of course, the knight goes to e5, and then the question where this bishop on e3 goes. Traditionally, it's like Dutch now, right? So it's like Dutch, and if it's a Dutch, then white wants to play bishop f2 and put that bishop on h4 somewhere. This bishop on g2 is doing a good job, protecting the king, hitting that d5 pawn. But black, I don't know, is there like rook b5, rook d5 in the works, like exchange sack, you know, just trying to go for that king activity against the black? I mean, white is playing actually very smart. He is applying pressure. That was b6, right? b6, king h1, queen e7, knight e5. So both players are trying, you know, to play cautiously because this same opening was exactly featured in their blitz match earlier, right? And it was a banter blitz finals. Firouzja also played Rogozin, but I really don't like this bishop e5. I really don't like it. I don't think this is right. This was a good bishop. You've completely fixed white pawn structure. I mean, which pawn to take? Magnus takes with this pawn. It's a preference. This pawn makes sense. It leaves black's f5 pawn weak. I kind of like taking with the d pawn because that bishop on t4 might be a monster, and then that bishop on e6 will be completely like forever chained to this square, right? But f5 is fine. So Firouzja starts to make small and very important mistakes. You know, white gets bishop pair, and this dark squared bishop, which was really bad, now has a huge, you know, blockading square potential to go to f6, right? If that bishop gets to f6, black can just resign, and black structures looks like really bad. So that bishop takes e5 is a clear positional mistake. That is for sure. I mean, taking here, See, he should have taken this bishop on a3 because okay, but bishop f4, and I really don't like black's position now. I'm pretty sure that Firuzov was thinking about doubling his rooks here, like maybe rook g6. But then very simple, queen h3, bishop f3, with the bishop on f4, taking control of those vital d2, e3 squares, right? That means the bishop, white's hands are just completely freed. Completely freed. There is white king is way safer, better structure. So the only thing is like how to proceed with white, and it looks very simple. Like queen h3, bishop f3, then okay, bishop h3. So Magnus is trying to hit this pawn on f5, I guess, to prevent activity. And is he gonna try to go for rook g1 or bishop g3 and just sort of pile up on this f5 pawn? That'll be interesting, actually. Bishop h3 is interesting, but I kind of like queen h3 also with the bishop f3 idea. Potentially bishop h5. But okay, bishop h3 is the first line, yeah? So bishop h3. All right, well, this Magnus is world champion, right? So rook f8, and then rook f3. Okay, yeah, so right, so the computer agrees. So white is just basically hammering on this f5 pawn that black so conveniently provided white with, right? As a pure target. Yeah. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, it was really bad move. Exchanging on f5 was a really bad move. It's just, you know, if structurally black was completely fine before, you know, white had bad bishop, you know, the only piece that was good, that was knight on e5, right? And then suddenly black just sort of just takes on e5 and completely changes all this. Okay, got some gap in his positional understanding. I don't think it was positional understanding, it was more of a time factor. He was down to 4 minutes in this very complex position. If this was a classical game, he would find the correct way to, you know, to reassemble his pieces and to avoid exchanging. But this is a blitz game, and Magnus was pressing him on time, because Magnus is always ahead on time. Yeah, he knows that he can't really allow this game to go to the, you know, to those mad less than 1 minute time scrambles, because Firuzov proved that he is tactically very alert. So right now what Magnus is doing, he's limiting all those tactics. He is putting the game into the positional sort of path where his, of course, understanding is much superior. And I would say that he beat this kid. White is going to win this game, obviously. He beat this kid with experience, basically. You know, if on Banter Blitz he just went for those crazy tactics, you know, offbeat openings, and here he just demonstrates that he's using his iron hand. You know, black has no counterplay at all, so black is just, you know, going for some tricks here, basically. That's his only chance. Hoping that at some point, if white is going to go for that f5 pawn, then that queen might go to e2, for example, right? And so basically, tactical defense by black. On the other hand, of course, if white just stands and does nothing, black can just play b5, b4, a5, a4, and push those pawns on the queen side. And the question is how white can proceed here. So we see that the computer here, the way it proceeds is by playing bishop g2, and I'm curious why white doesn't play bishop at c1 and simply takes on f5. So while we have time, let's go there. So it went like rook g6, right? Bishop h3, bishop here, rook here, queen h4, rook bf1, then we have queen h5. And I was looking at the like, for example, bishop here, and we see that black plays rook f7, which is his first choice, and white cannot do this because of queen g4. That's the reason why the rook is on f7, so you cannot capture on f8 with the check, and black is winning. See, that's the kind of tactical trick I was saying. And now you see the evaluation suddenly is not that clear anymore. So white cannot really play this. So he doubled his rooks, so he has to go for the bishop g2. And the time-wise, we're getting, yeah, strategically lost, but still, you know, black didn't lose that f5 pawn immediately. his knight on c4 is kind of still a good deal. And white lost a lot of time doubling his rooks on the f-file. Right. In the meantime, black put his queen on h5, very active, very good spot for the queen. You know, I think the couple of moves like this, rook f3, right? Okay, the computer likes it, but I really don't like it. All right, so it's complicated. It's not so simple. So he does play bishop c1, and now black plays rook f7 or even b5 because white cannot capture this pawn. I don't know what Magnus is going for here because bishop on c1 is really not that good here. Which is, I mean, this bishop doesn't belong here because, okay, maybe he wants to play bishop a3 and put that bishop somewhere. So if black plays b5, for example, maybe he wants to play bishop a3 and put this bishop on c5, potentially eyeing that e7 f6 square. Right. Well, yeah, but there is such thing as tactical defense. I mean, there is such a thing. You see, chess is like really complex thing. You can be compensated. I mean, black got completely outplayed strategically, but then tactically he's holding things, and it's like it just happens in chess. You know, it's like Tal playing Smyslov and Botvinnik, remember? Like he was completely being outplayed by those guys in the positional sense, but then he would start all his famous dynamic sacrifices, you know, and these guys they couldn't find out the right plan in the time allotted. And here we're down to a minute. Magnus actually has less time on the clock. But Ali Reza, he just allows white to take on f5 and play bishop h3 back. Ooh, but this is extremely aggressive play by black. You know, he's like he's you know, not just raising, he's like basically doubling it. He's going all in here. Yeah, if we're gonna use a poker reference. He's like saying, just go for this f5 pawn, you know, bring it, because I'm gonna like mate you here. Well, I don't think he missed it. I'm just saying that black gives up this pawn, but he exchanges really bad bishop, and of course he cannot see. He probably didn't see bishop h3 here. I think he only counts on rook h3 because then bishop f5 and black probably is just. Oh, queen f5 just wins, right? So bishop h3 is the only defense. Let's see if he finds it. Rook f7 was neat. Yeah, rook f7 was very cool, but I don't think this is like really that bad. Of course, the computer says after bishop h3, black is just lost, yeah, because he simply pawned down. But then we still have that line, right? So I don't want to go to the analysis board because right now we're in a critical position. Magnus is 2 minutes up based on this. Okay, they have a delay there for some reason, right? Okay, so rook h3 loses, right? Queen f5, black wins. h4 is the other move. I don't think Magnus is going to play h4, although anything is possible. I think bishop h3 is very logical, and black has to take on h3 because rook is hanging. And after bishop h3, rook h3, there is a mate on h7, so black is forced to play queen g6, and then we transpose the game into this endgame where white is a pawn up, but black has a very nice knight on c4. So that means if white can somehow exchange the one pair of rooks, bring his king, and play e4, push those pawns, he will be winning. But if black manages to trade all of the rooks, bring his king to e6, then it's a draw because you know, those very famous knight blockading tricks in the endgame where white can have 2 extra pawns, like for example, if there are no pieces, right, white has only 2 extra pawns, d4, e5, king, d3, bishop on c1, and black has king on e6 and knight on d5. This is a positional draw because king and knight blockade these pawns on the light squares with the dark square bishop. It's a positional draw. So I think that's what Alireza is aiming for. He is basically trying to exchange all those pieces and go for this endgame, set that positional draw idea. Bishop h3, you know, of course, the world champion finds this move. So nothing surprising there. And black actually can play rook 2 to g6 immediately. Or take on h3. I don't think queen g6 is in the cards because, you know, trading the queens, it's not that great at this point. Rook e2. What is rook e2? I haven't even looked at this. What is this rook e2? Okay, so he's going for a trick. White has to take this rook, bishop h3. Then it's rook g1, king g1, queen g4 check. And then king f2 and queen g2, king e1, queen h1. Ah, that's how black gets that thing. Yeah, that's how black gets that queen g2, queen h1 thing. Maybe. Ah, but there's king h1, right? Queen g4, king h1 just wins the game. So I don't know, maybe he was counting on bishop g4, but then rook f g3, right? So bishop g4 loses, so you have to take on g1 now. And, you know, Magnus actually in this game is tactical alert. He actually outcalculated Firouzja here. Yeah, Firouzja just went for this. Yeah, the one thing about Firouzja is he absolutely hates all these passive positions, defensive positions. I think that's one of his, one of the areas he needs to work on, because he needs to learn that patience, you know, to learn how to defend those slightly passive positions. Because we can see here he went for this hyperactive defense based on tactics, and then he miscalculated these tactics. So that's basically it. I mean, black has to take on g1, king g1, queen g4 check, king h1, king f2 obviously doesn't work, and I think that's what he counted on. But after queen g4, king h1, there are no more checks. White is just an exchange up, no compensation, and with the winning game. So let's go back to Nakamura's game very quickly. And Nakamura won already. So what happened here? Let's go here for a second. So bishop g3 indeed happened. White was moving back and forth and played b4, and we got this very standard position. And black is worse because the pawn breaks all over the place. e5, a5. You guys see, this is classic. Okay, probably black should not have taken a5. This is like really bad, because after e5, then this whole structure comes down basically. Knight a8, okay, but still knight takes here, and d7, and just then queen d7, sign of desperation, I guess. I mean, yeah, queen f6 had to be played, but then it's a much worse endgame. So this is game over. So congratulations to Hikaru, and black resigns. Okay, black resigns. He didn't want to to play this anymore. He realizes he's lost. He lost the game, so he resigned. So you see how quickly black erred here. So this position is not actually lost for black if he just played b5 or rook f7, right? White still has to prove that he has a large advantage. He has some advantage, but it's not that large yet. So rook f7 was preventing taking on f5 by tactical means, and then the plan is just to push those pawns on the queen side. And I'm pretty sure that if computer plays here with black, the computer can kill anybody here with black, because this is the type of position that it's not easy to play. And white's main threat of capturing on f5 is just gone. Okay, so all right, so that was the round number one. We saw that Giri got completely outplayed in this Benoni type of structure he was unfamiliar with. This is a type of structure where black cannot just sit and wait for white, which white went through, because he's superior on the queen side in the center. This is the kind of opening black has to play aggressively and go for the king side attack. That is the whole purpose of Benoni. Black has to play actively on the king side, go for that f5, knight h5, bishop d4, queen h4, g5, knight g6 thing over here. And Giri is playing over here on the queen side. It's not that great. All right, so that was game number one. Let's go to the game number two, which is starting. So both white games were won. And of course, we're gonna probably spend more attention of the Firouzja versus Carlsen match because, of the hype, because it's world champion, and because they have a history previously in the Banter Blitz, which was won by Firouzja. All right, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a new analysis board here, and the opening explorer is right there. So we are waiting for the moves right now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm pretty sure they should have coverage on both chess24 and chess.com. I'm just doing my own thing here, so I appreciate you guys being here with me. Hopefully that was helpful. I don't know. So in the position now that these guys are -1, I would expect them to play something. Maybe it's not time yet to go all in because there's still 3 games left. He will win for the 4-0. Good morning, guys. Oh yeah, it's morning in the US, right? In the Americas, it's the morning. I don't know he's gonna go for 0. I'm just gonna think he wants to be like this experienced boxer. He's just gonna wait for the mistakes by the youngster and just take them. And tea time here. Ooh, tea time. That's all right. Tea time is good. Let me also get some tea here with some honey, you know, to get that energy level up a little bit. I find honey to be extremely good energy provider. Thanks to my wife, who is supporting me. You know, I feel like I'm in one of those esports games where I feel like I am a carry and my wife is a supporter. And what does Gideon have to do to stop his losing streak? I think he's trying to try and play something different, which is goes against his usual style. So he's trying new things, new openings, new styles. And when you're facing very strong opponents at the top level, you get punished very easily. So if you want to do practice like that, you should really do that against the computers at home. So once you go and play it, actually you are practiced, you know what to do. But if you go and try new things without much preparation, there is a very steep learning curve. Yeah. Hard support. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, hard support. I agree. Do you call your wife honey? Ah, nice word. Nice play on words. She gave me honey, and she's a honey, right? So that's okay. All right. She likes that one. She's smiling. Okay, honey and peanut butter on the toasted bagel. Well, if that's your cup of tea, okay, go for it. So, where are the moves, guys? Where are the moves? So they are talking. Peter is the great Peter. Yeah. The Petersburg Peter. 1-0. Okay, so he's talking there. My wife is actually a women's grandmaster, international women's grandmaster. So she is actually a player herself. She was a world junior champion under 20 in women's category. What's my score against Peter? I don't know. I think it's pretty close to equal. It should be like -1 or equal or something like that. Whenever we play, it's like a huge fight, like everywhere. So your coach then and wife, yeah. Good morning, guys. Good morning, everybody. So this is taking forever. Yesterday they played it faster, I think. Yeah. They started the games. Oh wait, they started 10 minutes after the first game, right? No, my wife doesn't stream. She is not active chess player. She is pursuing other more, other interests that are more to her style, to her life interest. I mean, chess helped us meet, so that was a great thing. But right now, she is also my greatest supporter. So she is, sometimes watching our stream, my stream, and so she sometimes sees this chat, guys. So behave, okay? Right, 10-minute break. Okay, yeah. Because if you guys don't behave, I'm gonna make you a moderator, and that you don't want. All right, just kidding. She's actually an angel. All right, so what do we expect? We expect maybe e4. Yeah, we don't probably expect d4 because there is no way Firuzai is gonna beat Magnus in d4 or something close. So I probably expect something open like e4. And with Giri versus Nakamura, Naka is like such a universal player. And I don't think Giri seems to be like in a bad form, especially considering like the way he lost to to Maxim, right? To Maxim, because that opposite bishop color endgame he should have drawn. I mean, if he was his usual self, he would have drawn that endgame, and then he lost that miniature with white. Yeah, so I don't think Giri is like in his best form, and Hikaru looks very impressive. So I think Hikaru should win the match. That's my prediction. And you guys think it's gonna be Scheveningen, Sicilian? Magnus prepared this for this tournament. Actually, you know that I was talking about it earlier, because this is a rapid event, and especially for the Blitz event, sometimes it makes sense if you're a top player to prepare something completely unexpected, specifically for that event, right? So you basically sit there like for a week or for a couple of weeks if you have time, and then you practice, you study, practice against the computers, the engines, you play all those games against those free 3000 ELO opponents, right? Engines are the best opponents to practice your openings against. And if you play like 500 games in each line, in each opening, I would say that that's pretty good enough of a preparation. And then you go and play this opening, this line that you prepared, and then you probably have a great chance to crash, to just simply to crush everybody. Okay. Alekhine defense, I wouldn't be surprised actually. You know, right now I think that you can expect anything from Magnus. No, Firza lost the first game. He got outmaneuvered, yeah, and he got out tacticked. I mean, he got really great position in the opening, but then he just did this very horrible bishop exchange on e5, and then he found a nice tactical defense, but he didn't went through with it. He became impatient, and he went for some tactical tricks, thinking like this looks good, you know, but he didn't calculate properly, and he lost. Thank you for subscribing, Gradios room. How do you set up engines to mix lines up? Most engines usually play the same line. It's very simple. You set position up, and you start playing from that position. That's how you set it up. Okay? I mean, it's very simple. You don't start with the first move against the engine. You obviously have preset position, like on move 5, move 6. You know, we call it tabby position. Then let the engine play. I mean, I have very old engines. You know, I have Stockfish 8, which is like I think 5 or 4 years old, and those are also come with outdated books, which is probably important. Which is the reason why it's important to have recent engines, because they come with updated books. Those guys, programmers who are doing all that work on engines, you know, guys, thank you for all that work. They also have to do a lot of work, you know, to keep up with the opening theory. I mean, if you guys can guess how much work those guys do, and that's unpaid work, right? That's incredible. The way they prepare is like world championship level. I'm pretty sure it's at that level. You know, any top level GM would be very happy to have those guys preparing those opening lines. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the top players also have all those computer championship database in their hands, because those guys, you know, have access to those openings that have been played by engines. Right now I only have access to the games played by humans, but engines, of course, are at a completely different level. They discuss different openings, they push the opening theory, and only later, you know, we get to see it, because one of the grandmasters eventually goes to see those games, and then he comes back, he analyzes it, and then he introduces it in the tournament practice, and that's how this opening lines get actually played. And Scheveningen suits Magnus style. Well, Gary became the world champion. The very last game, game 24 of his match against Karpov, he won that game with black, and he became a champion. Scheveningen Sicilian is a classic opening. It's like Ninderf, yeah. It's never going to be refuted. It's going to be this fighting opening, and sure, Scheveningen is great stuff. But of course, I haven't seen many players play it, and you're not going to see this opening in the classical game at the very top level, because you know, with the modern age computers, it's sort of very easy to prepare. Yeah, you sort of prepare like some very dangerous side line. You analyze it with the computer until move 40, and then you try to catch your opponent whenever he does a mistake or inaccurate move, because one mistake is just game over. So this is the reason why most GMs don't play stuff like Sicilian, Scheveningen, Careless Attack, or they play neither, but they have to be really well prepared. In the tournament practice top level, so they play Queen's Gambit, Decline, they play Berlin, because those openings have a huge buffer zone of safety. Okay, so what's with the games? Where are the games, guys? Oh, they're still discussing it. Okay, all right. People stop playing Scheveningen because of Careless Attack. Right, Careless Attack was always considered to be one of the greatest weapons against Scheveningen, which is the reason why Gary played different types of Scheveningen. He played sort of this Scheveningen, you know, c5. There is this Scheveningen, right? So knight c6, for example, and then d6 and e6, right? There is this Scheveningen, and then there is what else you can play? The knight of Scheveningen, right? I mean, if white doesn't play the main line, like bishop e2, then you don't have to play e5, then this is Scheveningen, and sometimes if white plays bishop e3, then black can also play this, right? But then you have to be prepared for this f3 g4 mess, you know, that English attack, which is like deserves a book on its own. That line basically just is like a whole new opening, right? Separate opening. So that's Scheveningen. And of course, I'm very surprised that, you know, with g4, there are also so many ways to play this position, right? There's knight c6, h6, a6. Sometimes, and also speaking of neither, you notice how Naka started playing h3 and then he plays g4 here. He even is willing to spend the tempi playing h3 just to get into this sort of Scheveningen setup. Okay, so yeah. Did you move back to Russia? Yes, I did, because my wife is a Russian citizen and I married her and we live in Russia. You avoid bishop b5. What's the point of e6 move order from versus d6? The point of e6 move order, all right, let's quickly go over it. Okay, so e4, c5, knight f3, e6 is that, yeah. Knight c3, d6. The point is that sometimes you want your knight on d7 and bishop to b7. Like for example, in certain Scheveningen lines, right? If white plays bishop e3 too early, let's say that, right? Then black just plays b5 and puts his knight on d7 because in some cases e5 now is unplayable. I mean, it's playable, but there's a lot of things white usually does. I remember the rule of thumb is that whenever black plays knight c6, then you play bishop e3. That's the rule of thumb. So you never develop your this bishop first before black commits the knight. Yeah. So that's the rule of thumb. Okay. And if you play d6 first here, yeah, there's a lot of ways for white to play. He can play bishop e5, which became really popular, and there is also this queen d4 line, right? And there is also this knight c3 line. So there are a lot more lines for black to prepare for if you play d6 here. And if you're playing e6, then it's not that many lines. So, but then if you play e6, then you know where your e6 pawn going, right? So you lose that surprise element compared to when you play t4, right? Now you can play a lot of things. You can play Rouser, you can play Neidorf, you can play Dragon, right? So you leave yourself a lot more options. So what's going on here? So again, there's this huge, you know, mind game going on, right? Huge mind game. So the opening prep, the correct sequence of moves, you know, the transpositions, the elite GMs are really good at those. It's really good at predicting those from your opponent and really good at trying to use them to the advantage. Is the safest move order most flexible if you want to play Scheveningen? Yes. If you want to keep your opponent guessing, then d6 is better. Yeah, okay, yeah, there you go. c3 is also a move. I forgot about this. It used to be very popular also a while back, and then that was like, again, huge stuff there, right? A lot of analysis. Like, yeah, Sicilian is if you play Sicilian, then it is very difficult for black to play anything else besides Sicilian because there's just so much to remember. Yeah, which is why, you know, even Maxim, he was playing Sicilian Neither all the time, but that was his only opening. Until I think he switched recently, right? All right, so what's going on? Come on, guys. Oh, we see the game. Where are the games? Where are the games? There is one game. Okay, so they started early, of course, because Naka finished early, right? Okay, so we see Giri, you know, just playing his usual thing, which I think is probably the right thing to do. And now we see this famous Queen's Gambit decline. Very solid choice by Nakamura. He is basically trying to equalize with black. And then, you know, he's +1. He's chilling. Why not? A6, I think. Okay, knight cd7 makes perfect sense. Here first you need to exchange this knight before you play b5, or that c6 square will be weak, right? And bishop e2 is also correct. Yeah, I think that Giri managed to pose some problems for Nakamura here because, you know, black, you know, spent a lot of time with his knight. Knight d7, knight c5, knight d7 back, and this maneuver is actually very useful for white, so you guys remember it, because bishop on c4 is doing absolutely nothing, and he in fact closes the c file and he's getting attacked all the time. So it's a perfect time for, you know, rerouting this bishop to f3, right? Because especially the knight is on f3 anymore. So this bishop f3 and bishop f4, they're gonna be like Catalan bishops, looking at the black queen side, creating a lot of problems potentially. Okay, so let's quickly go here. So what do we have here? Is this? I think I got it the wrong move order, but okay, doesn't matter. So bishop e7, bishop here. What was castle first, right? Okay, castle first. e3, knight here, bishop takes here, ta-dam, c5, boom boom, knight e5, knight e7, and bishop e2. Yeah, I actually like white position now because I think black is forced to take and play b5 here, and then after bishop f3, rook a7 has to be, and this is kind of off course for black. He might survive this though. The game hasn't started yet. So, okay, so let's go back here. So this looks like a very good deal for white. The question is, of course, what to do now, because if queen goes to e2, for example, then bishop b7 immediately equalizes. It's like one wrong move, you lose your advantage. So you probably have to take it and play rook c1, because bishop b7 is impossible, bishop d4, right? So black will have to do something about his underdeveloped bishop on c8. Okay. Quite logically, is about bishop. Okay, sorry, I try sort of like go. It's like yeah, no sign of disrespect. Just trying to quickly go over the words being said in the chat. Okay, right. So where does bishop goes on d7? Right, it's a huge thing. There is also bishop d4 threat. So I think this is the best thing for white to do. If black plays b5, I think actually Hikaru realizes that, so he's thinking here, but I don't see how he can play this position. So maybe he made a mistake earlier. Probably this wasn't the right move order here, right? c5, c5 first, and then dc5, and now he played this. Yeah, he plays a6, which turned out to be incorrect. You see, the computer plays b6. So very nice prep by Giri. Bishop b4. Makes sense. Okay, and we started. Okay, so you see knight c6, bishop b5. All right, so let's switch back to Magnus game. We know that Magnus plays Sveshnikov, right? And bishop b5 was expected. And so let's see what's going on here. B takes d3. Knight e7 is the theoretical move. I'm not sure about this queen c7 move. My guess is that Magnus is trying to, you know, simply break his opponent's preparation. So he chooses some like sideline, but you know, sideline that makes sense, okay? And this queen e2 seems to be already like very strange. Well, it's normal move, right? But it's kind of the rook should be on e1, and the queen, you might need the tempo to develop that queen somewhere else. Okay. Right, so in Giri Nakamura we have bishop b4, and after bishop f3, his plan is to take on c3, and then maybe knight b6, d5. I really like Giri's position here, so let's go back queen e5, and now we see e5, which is the reason behind queen c7, which was not obvious, right? This is also the reason why computer likes e5, but you know, I found that e5 computer really goes for those lines, but if black gets to play knight e7, g6, f6, undermine this whole pawn structure in the center, and then if white takes on f6, g takes f6, then that whole pawn chain in the center, 5 pawns that black has combined with 2 bishops, it will be really deadly. Okay, so queen e2. I'm not sure if e5 is immediately correct, but okay. Usually black plays knight g6 first, but okay, if you get a chance to play e5, why not? I don't see how white can use it, and already white is in a slight dilemma, because if he didn't play this move, he played castling, then if black plays e5, white can play rook e1, c3, d4. That's usually how white reacts. But now, since your queen is on e2, you can't really play c3, d4 anymore, unless I'm absolutely wrong. So let's go back to the board. Let's do the analysis board in a separate window. So this is very important, and I'm actually surprised Magnus plays e6, because in the match against Caruana, he played g6, right? And this is a huge change. So d3, knight e7 standard, queen c7 unusual, castling is normal, queen e2, and now e5, and let's see what's wrong with c3. Knight e7. I'm just curious what happens. Just white goes for this d4 thing, right? And the computer says that black is actually much better. Oh, because he has a5 and no more castling for whites. That is actually huge. That is huge thing, yeah. See, now that's a minus behind queen e2. That is the reason. So you cannot play the c3 d4 anymore. It's not that obvious either, right? I mean, this is why GMs, you know, they do that whole preparation thing. Knight h4. Knight h4 sometimes played to prevent that knight g6 coming, also against f5. So knight h4 is a very inhuman move. I don't think he's gonna make it. He didn't. He played knight d2, knight d7, knight c4. Okay, so this makes sense. Knight goes to g6. So knight d2, but I would say that black is already better. You guys see evaluation, right? This pawn chain structure is very good for black. He's got pairs bishops, very strong center, and a huge potential for the d6, f5, bishop e7 castle, and a very strong upcoming light squared bishop. Yeah, I think he was probably prepared only against g6. So e6 came probably as a surprise to him, and e6 is the move that Rajibov was actually a great specialist in that line. So if you want to learn more about it, probably should study some Rajibov's games there. All right, h4. The kid is going for an attack. I'm not sure it's such a great move, because after h5, you know, white has no light squared bishop, but black does, and that g4 square will become kind of open. At the same time, if black plays h5, then that means he probably will not be able to play f5, because g5 square will be targeted, right? So h5 is being played. Okay, h5, and now g3. Makes sense, taking the f4 square under control. So what is black going to do? The normal thing to do would be to play d6. I don't know, bishop e7, bishop e6, queen d7. Slightly better position for black. f6, knight e7, just trying to get total control in the center. Yeah, so, you know, Magnus, he's doing what he does best. He is not wasting his time. Right now, going back to this game, we see Nakamura deciding to exchange white's very strong bishop on f3, even at the cost of the pawn, but because white's pawns are a and c, they disconnected. The c3 pawn is kind of weak, and it's also opposite color bishops. So probably interesting, very practical choice on the part of Nakamura. Rook d1. Yeah, if white can manage to put his bishop on d4, then he might probably be better, because he really needs to put the bishop on d4, then pawns on e4, f4, and sort of start the kingside attack here. That's only white for white to play this position, because if he's gonna play here on the queen side, it's probably nothing. So let's go back here. G3, D6, bishop D2, very smart. White keeps the option of playing long castle, right? And then knight E3 and knight F5 and going for this, and waiting for black to declare his king, right? H4 versus Magnus as well, and he got crushed. No, not coffee. This is, it's like herbal tea. Yeah, okay. Okay, so let me get some more of that great honey. Because that herbal tea is like really sour. And so I kind of mix it together. And it's cool. And F6. So Magnus is playing like a computer, yeah? So you see, guys, what he's doing? He's creating all these pawn barricades, taking away all those key squares from white knights, right? And potentially... he couldn't play bishop e6 immediately because of knight g5. So f6 first, then bishop e6 maybe. Or black can try to play bishop e7, and then that knight on g6 is fulfilled his function. That knight on g6 might be transferred to e6. And from there to d4. Because if knight gets to d4, white will have to exchange this knight, then pawn c5 takes it. You know, those double pawns in the center by black will be strong. They will no longer be static pawns. Like double C pawns are really bad, but double D pawns would look really good. Knight e3 makes sense. And I think, so the problem is with white, with the pawns on h4, h5, is that white can't really play knight e5 compared to the Russian, compared to the Spanish, you know, the delayed exchange line, where white plays takes on c6 and then plays knight f5. Because if you play knight f5, you should be ready for black to actually capture that pawn, capture that knight, and then start hitting that f5 pawn. And it will not be easy for white to protect it because he doesn't have that h3 g4 resource anymore, or the h4 square for his knight. So so we're looking at the small advantage for... So we see Giri is going for this plan. He's going for this bishop f4, e3, d4. I mean, Giri's main talent is his strategic understanding. So let's go here. What happened here? g3, I think, f6, right? Oh, bishop d2, f6, knight e3, and then Magnus plays bishop e7. And we see the evaluation here, like, you know, white is still doing very good. White is still doing quite okay, because he has no weaknesses. No weaknesses. Black cannot crush him on the queen side. Queen side is locked. The question is, what is white going to do? Is he going to play, like computer suggests, first line here, b3, c4, just completely go locked down? Or he's going to play like castle long side and then go for that g4 break somewhere? So I'm not sure. Because, you see, a computer understands this plan. He goes knight f8, knight e6, right? He understands this plan. So what's going to happen? Knight g1. And the idea is, if black knight leaves, then white plays f4. And look at this bishop d8. Wow, what a maneuvering phase by these two guys, right? You know, if I didn't see these guys' names, I would say that this guy's been played like in the 18th century, a bit like Steinitz and, I don't know, Zukertort, maybe even Anderson, yeah? Like this huge positional maneuvering game, like nothing is exchanged, like except one minor piece, right? So bishop d8. Wow, well, what is the purpose of bishop d8? I wonder though. Yeah, why is that bishop going to d8? Why is he going to d8? That's kind of mysterious move to me, to be honest. Maybe he wants to transfer his queen to f7 square and then play bishop c7 and prepare d5. Yeah, but that's like far in advance, man. Maybe he wasn't sure about this bishop on e7. Yeah. So he's kind of, but I don't see a better square for him. So if he really goes to c7, then white will just play c4 and completely block this d5 break. Yeah. So that bishop d8 is either very deep, or he's just like sort of patient waiting move. See, guys, how black doesn't play a5, doesn't create any more targets for white, right? He leaves that pawn on a7. He doesn't play rook b8 because he keeps that option of castling long side. So basically, he just plays bishop d8, like a waiting move. And in terms of time, Magnus is, you know, holding his steady lead. Yeah, he wants to go queen a5. Well, that I really doubt. Yeah. So what happened here then? Queen c4 makes sense. Bishop. But Geary, I thought you're gonna play bishop e3. You guys see bishop e3 in the chess bomb? It's the first line. That's the move I kind of said about, mentioned earlier, right? Bishop e3 with the idea of bishop d4. And instead we see queen d4, Geary going for the exchange of queens. And, you know, like, remember like yesterday he lost that rook and bishop, everything very equal, yeah, that endgame? So it's like deja vu here, except that Geary's got an extra pawn. But this looks really f5. I kind of like f5, yeah, because if white plays e5, then it's locked. Position is on lockdown, and white's bishop on f4. Even if he gets to d4, is doing nothing. Okay, so that looks pretty equal. So we see knight f8 being played, and I like how the computer evaluation of this position is really starting to look good for white. See how how white actually remaneuvered his knight. The knight on f3 was doing nothing. And now the knight is able to support f4, or white is going for that f3 g4, and basically just white is saying I have knights in a closed position and your bishops are gonna look really dumb. That's what I'm saying. Okay, and the evaluation really is going up for white. Okay, so let's check this thing. So what happened here? Bishop e7, white played knight g1. And black plays bishop d8, right? Extremely, I don't think bishop really should be played there. So he plays knight f8. And you see how the evaluation jumped right here? Made a huge jump, right? So the computer thinks black should have played knight e7 and go for the d5 thing. Or force white to play c4. And then you go back and you play knight f8 and e6 d4. So he's saying that black played it a little bit prematurely. Because after queen g2, black has no f5 break, he has no d5 break, and he's stuck with the bishop pair that is quite useless. And the square in d4 is taken. I think knight d4 is probably have to be played, but with the knight on e3, you know, protecting the c2 pawn, white can just play f4 and f5 and then c4 and then go for the g4 h5 break. And I think actually the youngster wants to squeeze our current world champion. Okay, so you know the way you remember, guys, I was talking about a5 earlier. So this is actually very smart because now with the pawn on a4, black can actually play knight d4 because that b3 square for the knight is now available. Yeah, yeah, position seems easier, and that's actually a very correct word. A lot of grandmasters sometimes they just you know, look at the computer evaluation, they see like zeros, and then they look at the difficulty level because there is a difference between, you know, position being equal and then how much easier it is to find the plan, how much easier to, you know, play for one of the sides. And you're right. See, it is easier to play for white for sure. But after knight d4, I think black is back in business, yeah? Because that a4, I mean, that a4 is actually very natural. It's a common move to make, you know, sort of fix that pawn on a5, prevent that a4. Because if white allows a4, that potentially means that black will have an easy time going for c5, c4 break later. So he tries to stop this pawn, but after knight d4, white cannot push his c pawn at all. That b pawn will become really weak. So I don't know. Very interesting. f4 has to be played, otherwise black is just gonna unwin his bishop. So we're expecting bishop on e6, f5, bishop f7, trying to take control of the h5 square in case white plays g4, because then after hg4, queen g4, that bishop will be able to go to h5 some point, yeah. And also you basically need the bishop on e6 because on c8 it's just doing absolutely nothing. And on e6, black will be able to play c4, or if white plays knight c4, then black can sometimes just take on c4. And it's like Spanish delayed exchange variation. There are plenty of structures there where you just double Mutual double pawns on the c file, nowhere to break through, and it's just a draw. However, Magnus is now for the first time has lower time, right? He's got only 8 minutes compared to 9 minutes for Firouzja. During high-level games, evaluation changes of 0.4 is considered large. Yeah, I mean, for these guys, you know, it's not like they know that the game changes, right? They don't know this. During the game, they don't know this. But they can feel all those structures so well. So whenever a structure changes slightly, they immediately understand in whose favor the structural change it is, even though it's not like nothing drastic. But it's more like accumulation of small advantages, right? I think that's what the great Capablanca was good at. I think that it actually started with him or Rubinstein, right? I'm not even mentioning Nimzo, maybe, but I don't think he was that. He was such an exponent of that thinking. But I think Capo was really good at that, especially in the end games. Yeah, he would slowly convert all those small advantage positions to a win, because he was so good at the technical stuff. So bishop e6, queen d7, normal. And I think Firouzja just basically understands that he's not going to win this game, because black got his knight on d4. That bishop on d8 is now, we can see why Magnus put this bishop on d8, because he's going to protect that a5 pawn, and he's also going to go to c7, where he's going to cover that b6 square and prepare this d6, d5 break, right? So that's what black is trying to do. He's going to play bishop c7, and if white allows it, then probably d6, d5. That's what I think. f5 probably has to be played by white, maybe, but I think that Firouzja is trying to delay it, just because if black plays d5, he wants to take on e5 maybe, before black bishop goes to c7, of course. So let's quickly go over to this game, and just like yesterday, we see that you know, Giri has extra pawn, an opposite color endgame, but this time he is pressing. He's the one pressing, and these are actually pain to play, which is why Giri lost yesterday, because these positions are deceptively, they look deceptively simple, but they are not. So see, rook e5, right? Getting the square e5 from black rook. Now black is trying to play rook e8, kick this white rook out of the e file, because the e file is so extremely important. So this is actually very good for your endgame technique. So go over this game later, guys. We're gonna go back to Magnus' game, because here what we see is a young kid trying to outsmart the world champion in the grand, very close position game, and he goes for f5 and probably g4. Yeah. Oh, knight c1. Where is this guy going? Oh, he wants to play c3. Oh, so white is really going to try to trap this knight on d4. So he's saying black cannot play d5 because of c3. You guys see it, right? So I don't think white can actually threaten this capture. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait. What's going on here? And if c3, then what? c3 is probably not good. But why? Because probably because just take on a4. And white cannot take on d4 because c takes d4, e3, right? So black just called white's bluff. That's what he did. Aha, and simple castling. I see. So this is getting very interesting, guys. This is getting really interesting. So so c3 is not in the cards because of always d takes e4 and knight takes b3, I guess. However, there is such a thing. Let me quickly go to the analysis board. So what happened here? What happened here? We are so way back. a5, a4, knight d4. Okay. a5, a4, knight d4. And then we have f4, bishop e6. b3, queen d7. f5, knight c1. d5, really well spotted by the world champion. And then castling first, right? And what do we have here? And he's thinking. So what I was talking about earlier, right? For example, I was saying like how white cannot play this move because black takes here, and then you cannot capture it because of e3, right? But there is such a thing as white simply trying to play this move, and then sort of play c4 and try to trap this bishop. So that it will be always an option. Right now it's probably not playable because of queen d4, right? And then the bishop just escapes to c4, and if rook c1, then bishop a4, right? So right now it's not an option, but it might become later. Also, of course, on c3, black can also try to maybe play this. No, this is unplayable because you have knight c4. This is important to see. So d4, take on e4, then knight b3 and c4. Yeah. So there is such an idea, okay? There is such an idea. And black plays c4, which probably he shouldn't, because it doesn't seem right yet. I mean, black should probably just prepare a little bit more. I'm not sure why he didn't want to castle this king yet. That looks more natural, because black tries to start the tactical stuff without being properly prepared, right? Hi guys, hi Mark. Too much action after knight c1. Yeah, but that's a great action, right? So he's sort of trying to trap the world champion knight in the middle of the board and saying like, dude, I got your knight. Yeah, it's like, hey, c3 is coming. You did eliminate Magnus. All right. Well, okay, he was a kid then. Come on, guys. Why are we going that far back? And wow, I kind of like White's position now. Just king h1, knight d3, right? So what happened here? Right, and I think Magnus just missed this. I think he was counting on this move, with the idea of black takes here, for example, then okay, I didn't see this. Okay, but this is really tough. Yeah, this is really difficult. I mean, I'm old guy, I don't see this combo, but and you have this. I think that's what Magnus was counting on, right? And then Firouzja just went and took this pawn, and just took this pawn. And after bishop b6, just king h1, knight d3, white is a healthy pawn up. Rook b1 first, actually second line, which is not bad. And the bishop c5, then knight d3. Wow. Wow, look at this game. Yeah, Magnus. Now it's Magnus who's being very impatient. He was long time, but then he should have castled first before he was going for all that stuff. Because if he castles and then white plays rook b1, and then rook b8, right? It's nothing scary because c3, take on e4, take on b3. White cannot improve his position further because that pawn on b3 will be hanging, right? Instead, he went for this absolutely crazy thing with his king uncastled. No disrespect for Firouzja's abilities. Guy, you cannot do that. I mean, this guy he's already top GM now. I mean, yeah. So what happens here? And we have a5. This is going to be a torture for black, but I think this looks like a draw. Yeah, it should be. This should be a draw. This should be a draw. And so we're not going to look at this game. So Magnus is down on time, but not that much. Yeah. So he's down on time. He's slightly worse position. He has to play queen a7. I think he has to play this because he needs to open the d file for his rook anyway. And the bishop on b6 is ideal place for his bishop. He is not under attack by the knight. He protects the pawn on a5, and he is also looking at this diagonal, right? Should be draw, yeah. Did you try killing and restarting your Twitch app? My Twitch app? What Twitch app? Okay. So, queen a7 looks nice, yeah? Queen a7, forcing actually white to play king h1. And then black would probably have to do something about his king and finally do castle. I think he was afraid of castling because of that g4, yeah, that psychological attack thing. Then, because if white opens that g file, knight goes to d3, g4, knight g4, rook g1, or queen g4, rook g1, yeah, it looks really dangerous, I actually agree. It really doesn't look that good for black, so his king is stuck in the center. So this whole c4 thing was way too early. It was just way too early. I don't know, I kind of like, yeah, the Magnus is in trouble. Magnus is in trouble, guys. Okay, so we're gonna stop this board, and so we see the computer says queen a7. I would say king h1, and now, because if you cast the long side, right, then the white just goes and like rook b2, knight d3, rook b1, boom. It's not that simple though, yeah. So let's check it. Knight d3, because knight d3, knight c2, and then you lose. Okay, so that's a nice trick. So rook b2. And why would black want to play knight b5 here? Because knight d3 is next move, yeah? So for example, rook d7. Ah, c3. Yeah, okay. Right, black's knight on d4. It never did anything about that c3, right? Okay. So black is in trouble. Black is in trouble. c3 is coming. White has extra pawn. Great developments. Magnus just screwed up. Okay. But he's got 3 minutes to unscrew this thing. Okay. So let's see what's going to happen. You know, c3 is a threat, right? c3 is already a threat. Which is why black has to play queen a7. Because he'll be hitting that knight on e3. So queen a7 is like basically one only move. Yeah, okay, so he finds it. Good. Okay, so king h1. And if c3, then the knight goes to b3 and bishop takes c3, I guess. That's the plan. So I like king h1. King h2 is a computer first choice, but I like king h1. You know, trying to get the king away from all those dark squares, although, you know, probably equal in terms of the knight c2 is the threat, right? So you need to move your king anyway. So the question is where that king go. Black is in the worst position, pawn down. The bishops are not playing, and he is down on time as well. Not easy place to be world champion right now. Yeah. Okay, so king h1, rook d8. Let's go back to the analysis board. Rook d8. So no knight d3 again because of knight c2. Suddenly black is better, right? So, and c3, then just knight b3. Oh, he doesn't like knight b3. He likes knight b5. I wonder why is that. So if you take here, then because this knight on c1 is now kind of disorganized, right? There is this huge rook d2 coming, and black is basically okay. So white cannot play c3, but then what he's got to do? Rook b2. Did they play yet? Oh, he's thinking. Okay. I don't know. What's the point for rook d1? You black castles. You still cannot play c3, right? You still cannot do this. Okay, so it's not so easy to actually play for white too. You gotta find out. You gotta come up with some decent moves. What decent move can you come up with? Rook e1 looks very logical. You're trying to protect this knight, but then you fall for this cheapo, and black is just better. Okay, so not a very simple position. Actually, the computer evaluation 0.7 in this position is like basically equal. Yeah, but this is very sharp tactical stuff. Okay, so how about rook b2, right before we play c3, so we can have that rook on the second rank. But after castling, knight d3 is knight c2 again, c3, and again you have this knight b5, yeah? And basically just nothing for white. Yeah, this is actually worse for white. Wow. So maybe Magnus actually is not in the trouble. He actually might be better. So the computer first line is rook d1, and then he waits for that castling, and then he plays g4 or king h2, although I don't understand this. See, okay, the evaluation drops down suddenly. King h2 and then queen f1. All those moves just to prepare the c3, I guess, yeah? Caesar seems to think the position equal. Okay, I heard about the Caesar. King h2, rook d1. Wow, Magnus actually, you know, I think he just outplayed the ancient here. I thought white was much better. But now we look in depth, right, into this situation, and c3 is impossible. c3 is like impossible. And black's bishops are like bishops in waiting, yeah? Don't mix them up with ladies in waiting, but bishops in waiting, yeah? They're waiting to, you know, to display their true potential if white plays c3. Yeah, he really outplayed the ancient here. I'm really starting to like black's position here. I don't even know where white goes wrong here. Actually, I like this bishop e1. I like this computer move. This bishop on e1 is just absolutely ridiculous, yeah? So did he play king h2? Okay, so actually, I literally outplayed the main move. Yeah, king h2, rook d1. I really like now bishop e1 with the idea of bishop f2. And bishop g1, like sort of counteract this bishop on b6. I really like this move. Also getting that bishop away from the x-ray. I really like this. For example, if castling, now bishop f2, yeah, and now white is ready to play c3. And see, the advantage is back for white. So it's like one move. How many of you guys saw this bishop e1 move? Raise your hand. And how many of those who didn't see this move? I didn't see this move, yeah? Like, wow. After bishop e1, like, white is back in the driving seat. You know, this move, I would bet that Yasser Seravine would find this move because he was a master of such moves. I mean, the games he played against Gary, he would play this bishop e2 d1 and bishop d2 e1. He's like, well, he's a master of this stuff. See, Alireza went rook b2, just like, you know, like we humans would do. Rook b2, castling, and black is just doing... Ah, but now g4. G4, yeah? What is this? Wait. Rook b2, castling, and now g4. Now we have the game. Now we have the game. Because if you take knight takes, of course, and bishop c4, then... Okay, just don't play rook g1 because of knight f3, so you have to play rook d1. Computer first line is c3 here. That is computer line, yeah? Rook d1, but then there is no attack, right? So c3. Wow. And they have both... Okay, g4. Wow, this is great game, guys. This is absolutely great game. You know, they maneuvered the first like 10 minutes they played, and now when they down both to 2 minutes on the clock, suddenly the game goes ballistic. Yeah, it just opens up. Who's attacking who? I have no idea. You know, white just plays g4 to open the position up and saying, you know, you have pair of bishops. I have some bad pieces. You know, knight on c1, bishop on d2, very passive. But I play g4. I have clear target. Your king is in my eyesight, right? So that's good. Yeah, this is a total chaos. Marking right. Yeah, g4, very powerful. You know, counter punch. Yeah. So hg4 probably has to be played. I mean, what else can Black play? He might think about some ways to try to get this knight on e3, and then, you know, okay, yeah. So knight e2, but why is it not good? Why is it not good? Actually, the exchange stack, right? So the exchange stack by the world champion. Queen e2 is forced, so this whole thing is forced. Okay, so let's take a look at this. g4, knight e2. So the world champion is actually sacrificing the exchange just to get rid of white's attacking potential. Instead, he gets the very strong pair of bishops, but he is down a pawn and an exchange, right? And after queen g2, you know, that materialistic feeling that white has is kind of fuzzy, warm feeling, you know, because the rook on b2 is ready to jump to that b7 square at a moment's notice. And queen g2 has to be played. Or you want to play queen e2. Yeah, queen e2, but then queen d4, bishop f4 check. So queen and g2 would be stronger, I think. At the same time, what about queen d4 here? Yeah, queen d4. It's very easy for me to sit here with an engine and make a commentary. Yeah, but it's much more difficult if you're sitting there, right? Gh5, then rook b7. So... yeah, and if you take on c4, still knight d3. So just pure exchange. The knight on d3 able to control that f4 square. And black does not get his second rook to d2. There is no way, right? Because rook d8, knight d3. And that's it. No rook access. So he probably has to play something like bishop f4 check. Let's see what happened. Oh, so queen e2 happened. Okay, so it's not that big of a deal. So king h1, take on g4. Queen g4. And then queen d4, and yeah, so this is kind of a mess that black looking for, that if e4 pawn falls, then it's unclear, right? So okay, so white plays queen e2 here, and we have queen d4, queen e4. Yes, so yeah, so queen e2 was not correct. See, there's one move, one mistake. You see the difference in lines. Queen g2 is 0.9 for white, big advantage, and queen e2 is just draw. Equal. I'm not saying it's draw because the game is just starting after queen e4. This is okay, so white wants to capture that bishop on f4. I'm starting to like black position now, because white is down on time, his king is open, the bishops, black just took this critical, absolutely critical pawn on e4. Yeah, absolutely critical pawn. Wow, okay, so let's go quickly back here. What happened here? Because here, rook e1, correct, bishop f4 here, queen c4, first line, gh5, first line. These guys are playing first line moves. First line moves with 1 minute on the clock. Guys, I don't know, it's just inhuman. Yeah, bishop h6 with very, very, very human move. Actually, try to avoid that bishop from being exchanged by the knight. But let's see what Magnus comes up with. Yeah, that was a great calculation. But if Firouzja played queen g2 instead of queen e2, might be some problems for black. Yeah. So okay, bishop h6, very, very normal human move. You know, now black has a very strong pawn center. Structurally, he is great. These pawns are all weak. If now black can just get somehow his rook to d8, d4, get that pawn on a4, he's just winning. White really needs to find a plan how to, you know, to survive here. So queen g4 is a must. Yeah, queen g4 is a must, and then queen c3, then rook eb1 with the idea of rook b8. Oh my god, you guys see this? This is fantastic idea by the computer. I have to show you this. The threat is that, for example, bishop like stays here, yeah? Like for example c5, then you have rook b8. And you see what happens? This is the tricky, yeah? Queen g6, guys. Wow. Wow, yeah, that's the computer stuff. That's typical computer stuff. This is the computer idea. Wow, yeah. So what happened in the game? We saw the you know, the human move, rook b7, activate your rook, and then what? And then white is just worse, yeah. You activate your rook, but you cannot. This pawn on a4 was extremely important. This is the reason why for queen g4 you protect that pawn, and yeah, still strategically one for black. I don't know. But this position looks now very good. And the time, I think, let's look at the poses. Let's see what Magnus. Yeah, look at this pose, right? He's like, he likes his position. And Alireza, he's like very nervous. And okay, let's go back here. Giri Nakamura is a draw. I'm pretty sure that they are both looking at Magnus' game. So rook g1, very human move as well, you know, putting those rooks on the active places, sort of like pinning those bishops, and white is hoping to get to this g7 square somehow. I don't know what he's planning. One thing that comes to mind, maybe knight c5, e6, but that will be queen a3 check, right? And what is there another way? Is there another way? For example, if just black plays queen d4, okay, so the computer wants to play rook g4, and that's probably Firouzja's ideas, yeah? So he wants to play rook g4, and then maybe queen g2, and sort of like double that g file. Maybe, I don't know. Computer plays king h8, which just makes sense, you know, getting that king away from all those potential pins. So let's take a look here. Let's take a look on the board. So instead of queen g4, we have rook b7, queen a4, and rook g1, yeah? Okay, so the first line is e4, which makes sense, because rook g4 is impossible, and rook e8 as well. Rook d8. And the evaluation changes again. My god, chess is hard. I don't understand why the evaluation changed so much. I mean, rook g4 or rook g3, but okay. So he allows rook d4. Yeah, I mean, probably rook g4 was better. Yeah, they both are. They're starting to make this slightly violent moves, which means slightly inaccurate. No. I think that he plays rook g3 on purpose because he wants to protect his king. But queen a3 was also inaccurate a little bit. I mean queen a1, and now queen g2. Is Firouzja gonna find this queen g2 move? And then the idea is, you see what the computer does? He puts the rook on g4, protects the fourth rank, then he plays knight c5, knight e6, and he really wants to get to g7 pawn. That is white's plan. Whoa, wait. Knight f2. Oh, so the knight goes to g4. Okay, rook d2, knight check. Queen g4, queen g6 mate. Oh my god, what a blunder by the world champion. You guys see it? Queen g6, it's game over, it's game over. This is game over. Alireza found that queen g4, queen g6 trick, guys. White is winning completely. Tactics! Guys, you know, Magnus missing tactics. with the okay, he had less than a minute on the clock, but he missed this queen g6 tactics. Beautiful stuff, beautiful stuff. That, yeah, he has to give up the queen, but okay, come on, it's completely winning. This is completely winning. And king takes, right? Queen g6 is still a threat because bishop e3, queen g6. There is still mate. There is still mate. You know, bishop e3, queen g6 is still mate. Because rook h8, yeah? Rook h8, this double h4 pawn. This little pawn on h4, it plays a critical role. It takes away the g5 square from the black king. This is beautiful chess. Beautiful chess. Magnus went rook d2. Oh my god, he went rook d2. He completely missed this idea, yeah? If you guys look at this evaluation, queen c1 and black is like in the driver's seat. Instead, he misses that queen g4 idea and he loses the game. And that was, wow, what a comeback by the... Now look, let's take a look at their faces. Look at this. And Magnus is like, damn, I blundered it. You see this? You guys saw this? He went like, ugh. Yeah, that was gold. That was incredible trick by Alireza. Wow, what a performance. You guys saw this, yeah? You know, those weak pawns, but you have to be really accurate in this time control. You know, the one who is attacking is the one who is in the driver's seat. So Magnus was trying to attack Alireza and he forgot about his king safety. That is one of the things, one of the joys in chess, yeah? It was like, you know, Alireza was getting good position, then being outplayed. And then just two bad moves by Magnus and mate, yeah? The kid almost made it world champion. Very good, great game by the great comeback. The score is now 1-1. I think this game would actually like boost up confidence in Alireza, right? What he's gonna do now? He's just gonna throw all his pieces at the Magnus king. You know, he's gonna treat Magnus like he, you know, a standard GM, because Magnus just completely blundered this mate. Yeah, I don't feel this like Magnus is now, you know, the super amazing figure now. You know, he's losing this mythical status in my eyes. You know, by losing to this kid. Yeah, he's just a standard GM now. Yeah, I mean, okay, it's not a standard GM. I mean, the way they play the game is like still like definitely top 10 people. Yeah, but Alireza, he is playing at this level. It's like, wow. Okay. So this is the game 2, right? Absolutely crazy tournament. Absolutely crazy tournament. And but then of course we also saw how Hikaru was like playing against Magnus, yeah? It's like, oh my god, like gladiators. One wins, another wins. One wins and another wins, like counter wins, right? They went 2-2 and then Hikaru lost the tiebreaker. So are we gonna see this in this match? It's probably 10-minute break, right? Magnus outplayed Stockfish 10 and got mated by... Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, but that was a beautiful thing, yeah, with the queen g6, yeah? So those little doubled h pawns. Wow. Wow. Okay. So we're getting a small break. We have 120 people in the chat. Mark, thank you for rating. Bringing all your followers to this channel. So what are your thoughts on this on this game? Haha, no, I'm not gonna play Magnus. There's no way I'm gonna play Magnus. Come on, guy. Oh. Yeah, the confidence is huge. I remember when I was playing Alireza in Arena Kings, yeah, like only a few years ago, he wasn't that good. And then he started playing at the World Championship level. And then there was this famous story about Alireza losing on time against Magnus in a position where Alireza was like extra bishop or 2 bishops or 4 pawns or something like that. And there was that famous story, he got flagged and then he appealed. Yeah, he was saying like, this is a draw, come on. I'm like, and then the zero stood, yeah. Hour of invincibility and death. Yes, a lot of psychology here. A lot of psychology. You know, we're playing, move to Central Europe. Well, coronavirus happened. All plans, they just went poof out of the window. Yeah, even those bullet games. I mean, any game you can beat actually the reigning world champion, who is considered to be one of the greatest after Garry Kasparov, right? And if you beat him like at least several games, that means you're doing something right. right? I mean, you don't. Okay, you can win one game by accident, right? You can win one game by accident. Some absolutely terrible blunder, but he didn't win one game. He won like a whole bunch of them, right? So no, this is not Kasparov-Karpov rivalry. I mean, Alireza has to go through all that qualification hell. You guys realize how hard it is to move through all the qualifiers to get to play the match against world champion? This is unreal. Do you know how many talented guys there, like wasting entire lives just to trying to get through those qualifiers? A lot of greatest players in the world in history, they were greatest. Yeah, they were absolutely considered to be like on par with the world championship. They never managed to get through. I mean, like Vasily Ivanchuk is one of them that easily comes to mind, right? I mean, everybody, you know Vasily, he is a genius. He was beating world champion Kasparov with his pieces being like stuck on the 8th line. You know, like he was a baby. He could never qualify. You know, the nerves that happened, they just ruined it for him. So one thing you can beat the world champion in the rapid, in the bullet, in the, you know, even the classical game. But it's a completely different thing, you know, to actually get to the title and win the match. That is the hardest part, okay? And as much as we would love to wish, you know, Alireza to get through there, you know, he needs all the luck he can get, because getting through that field of all those great talented players, because, you know, again, you can be a fantastic player, but you might have an off day and your opponent just might play the game of his life against you. There is no guarantee against such things, right? He plays, you have 2 games in a match, right? In the World Cup, for example. And then you are Magnus and you're playing Buk Xianji, for example, right? Like 2 or 3 years ago, remember? And Magnus Carlsen loses with white to Buk Xianji and he gets eliminated from the tournament. Why? Because Buk Xianji, he prepared that Spanish, I don't know what that line was, and he sacrificed that piece. He played the game of his life. That I have absolutely no doubt about it. He played the game of his life. He beat Magnus, who's black, while Magnus was reigning champion, and he eliminated Magnus from the World Cup. That is just one of the examples how hard those qualifiers are. Okay, yeah, okay, right, that's true. Rapid Blitz will eventually become more popular in the top level competitive chess than classical. I don't think so. I think that classical still will always remain classical chess, because it's just different chess, right? It's different chess, because being world champion in classical chess is just so much more. There's so much history. There's centuries of world champions, the line, the tradition, right? And the rapid and bullet, of course, they have their own place as well. They are now like so firmly established. You know, you have your own line of rapids and blitz world champions, and those are prestigious titles. And Magnus, I think he won like all 3 titles, right? In some years, in recent year. I think even last year, I think he won all 3, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken. So any champion who can beat in the modern world and get all those 3 titles, blitz, rapid, and classical, he is a fully deserved champion. Fully deserved champion, no doubt about it. Okay, chess 960 popularity. Yes, it will become, I think, on par with the rapid and blitz championship. It will. But again, you know, in order to get there, it needs to be played, promoted, and played. It has huge potential. It still kind of feels different. Yeah, certain positions, like crazy restarting positions, have to be eliminated, because it needs to be, you know, it needs to be brought into that, need to be worked with, okay? But it has huge potential, of course. I mean, we can't forget Wesley So becoming the first champion by beating Magnus in the finals, right? Again, doesn't matter what kind of chess. Magnus gives that kind of chess that validity, right? That's hugely important thing. Okay, so let's see. The game hasn't started yet, so we see Slav. Oh my god, and we see Slav, which is the exchange Slav. Guys, can you play more boring opening than this? I don't want to comment on this game. I mean, it's exchange Slav, for God's sakes. Okay, symmetrical stuff. Okay, What do you suggest for black in exchange Slav? All right, but this line is actually more exciting. Yeah, with the queen on a4. So I have to give Nakamura credit. He found this this sideline. I guess was actually quite popular like 5 or 6 years ago. A lot of top grandmasters played it, and white basically sacrifices. Oh, he went 92. I think it was 93 main line. So white basically sacrifices his queen side influence on the king side. He wants to go attack on the king side or something. But black knight on e5 is actually legit because that knight is going to c4 after rook c8. So I don't know. I'm curious. I think are they gonna have a fight here? I really doubt it because there's only one open file. So I suspect there's just gonna be major trades on the file and then it's a draw. So I'm gonna wait for the okay, so let's look at this game anyway because it's in progress and the other game hasn't started yet. I like Drave games and the exchange Slav. Drave is actually one of the highly underrated player of the Ivanchuk Gelfand generation. He was actually considered to be more talented than those guys. And he was also a student of the famous Dvoretsky, right? So Alexei was always extremely dangerous player for anyone, including the world champions. Again, I think he's the same generation as Anand and all those guys, and I don't know what happened, but he never got his chance to get as famous as those guys did. We don't need to become more interested in chess. Well, again, personally, I think that chess 960 is the welcome change because it eliminates a lot of theory, and guys who just love to play chess, they will be able to play chess, and that's a great thing. The big problem with the chess 960 is that it's very complex. There is no opening theory, and we sort of the GMs sort of try the first to make those first moves like very solid, you know. And in order to develop those types of chess, you need to really be not scared to lose games and just, I mean, when the first classical chess started, we saw a lot of King's Gambits, right? The guys didn't analyze those openings. They didn't refute those openings. They had to test it. They had to test the Italian Gambit. They had to test, they felt that Sicilian was incorrect opening because they thought it was wrong, right? So they thought that Philidor was good, and then a lot of things changed. It took like 200 years for chess to be where it is right now. And Fischer Random Chess is like what, only 10 years old maybe? I mean, at the top level started to be played only recently. It was really popular back in Mainz, but that was long ago. And Mainz made it first. Mainz was where I played for the first time, and I liked it, you know. So in order for that chess to be accepted, it requires time. It requires time, it requires energy, it requires analysis still, appreciation, and it will get there, but it's not going to be anytime soon. Okay, so what's going to happen here? Evaluation is Carlsen, boom, 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 nope, h3. Okay, both players are putting rooks on the c file. Nothing to see here, basically. If knight c4, I guess it's queen b3. Rook d1. White just wants to play maybe, I don't know, what does he want? b5, okay. Black is going for it. b5 is actually pretty standard, but the problem with this b5 sometimes is that c5 square now becomes weak, yeah? So white now is going to go and look for the ways to bring this knight to d3, and sort of like he'll get a slightly more comfortable game. The reason why black plays b5 anyway is because he's hoping to get that c4 square for his own knight, or force white to play b3 with the bishop on f4, you know, not being able to cover that a3 square. Black will play bishop a3 and take over some dark squares, and especially take c1 square under control. So that is the reasoning behind you know, these moves. Okay, exchange on the run the idea of playing g4 after bishop f5. Well, Alexei wrote a lot of books. He is now actually, you know, he was a very practical player. I don't think he analyzed openings when he was younger, but now he is actually doing a lot of coaching. He is also playing a lot of the tournaments, but he's also analyzing a lot. And once he started working for Mamedov, I mean, that was a perfect thing for Mamedov. I realized, you know, Mamedov improved hugely in his endgames. He became much less tactical player. He became more positional player. And that was a huge influence on Mamedov, I think. So that was a lot thanks to Rudrev. Has a Magnus lost every rapid game with black so far? My god, he can be right. My god, he lost 2 rapid games against... no, but didn't he beat Nakamura with black? I thought he beat him in a tiebreaker. Okay, so let's go now to the main game, which is... And we're seeing this Rogozin being played again. Knight c6, knight h4. Well, it's actually nice these guys are, you know, doing all the stuff here. Okay, so let's go back now to our guys. And what happened here again? d4. Okay, so they do... So you see, one small point is that Magnus plays knight... Alireza plays knight f6. Yeah, he doesn't play d5 immediately. So he waits for white to... He plays Vir Nimzo. This is the move order he enjoys, because now white plays knight f3. There is no more Carlsbad with knight on e2, so now black transposes into d5, and now we see Rogozin. So knight e3, take. In the previous game, I think we saw knight c6, rook c1, knight e4. Right now, Alireza goes castles, and this is more or less standard. Queen b3. See some games here. I don't know. I don't play this line, so I have no clue actually. So knight h4. Actually, this idea is pretty famous. White simply, you know, removes this bishop on f5 from his best position, and it looks like a little bit like London reverse. Remember, like there is Wesley So line there, where black takes on d4, and after e d4 he plays knight h5 and removes white's bishop from f4. And that line is considered to be one of the best actually antidotes to this day still. So this is very similar. That's what white does. He just, you know, push that bishop, black bishop away from f5, so he can develop his own bishop to d3. So this is actually very, very interesting. I don't know. Let's see what the computer says here. Ooh, the computer really goes at knight h5, which I like. You know, knight h5 or knight e4. This is tricky things. Yeah, with the whole idea with Rogozin is that using this pin by this bishop on b4, black is trying to play knight e4, f5, g5 as fast as possible, and then sort of by gaining that space, he creates some pressure on the white position and forces some favorable structural changes maybe. Moskalenko book. Okay, but that was exchange Slav, right? So let's see what happened here, and we have a5, a very unusual move, a5. I wouldn't have thought about a5 playing in this position, right? Because I would have thought about knight h5, knight e4 playing on this side of the board, but a5 actually interesting. So black's idea is to play a4, a3, sort of make sure that bishop stays on b4. He doesn't get removed by a3. And if white plays a3 here, then a4, and probably even an exchange on c3, I guess. Or maybe just a5, bishop moves to d6. So it's... what's wrong with Magnus time? Yeah, it doesn't show. So here we have already black getting a superior opening position. Wow. Giri really shows off his opening prep. Okay, 14 minutes, now it's correct. Okay, castles makes sense. So castling makes sense. And I don't know, after castling, a5 now looks very silly, yeah? Black just lost the whole tempo. Ah, but now he wants to play knight h5 and take on g3 because white's rook is no longer on the h-file, so he can capture this bishop on g3. So I suspect that is the reason, so let's take a look at it. Knight is hanging. I don't think white's gonna play this move because this exchange is really, really not good for white. Right, double pawns, weak pawn on d4, so that's not happening. So bishop on g3. And probably the easiest thing for black to do is just grab this bishop, you know, and play knight e7. This is a standard way of playing this position. And then black plays c6, and it's about equal. Alright, what's the best online site with the biggest chess 960 community? I have no clue. I think LiChess has some. I haven't checked it yet. I kind of, you know, I used to play my wife on chess.com. We sort of played some friendly 960 Fischer games because, you know, there's no theory. So, you know, it's fun. It's very nice that your wife can play chess. You know, I'm so happy about it. You know, we play some Fischer random chess. Sometimes she really kicked my ass, and I was like, wow, you know, that's why she's my wife, you know. All right, so let's go here. So what happened here? Knight h5. Yeah, knight h5. Seems very logical. Because any other move, okay, knight h5, it was pretty obvious. Wait, what am I doing? Yeah, so this looks good, right? So that was knight h5, bishop g3, and bishop g3, expecting knight g3, although, what about f5 here? Okay, guys, let's take a look at f5. Is f5 possible? Is this possible? The idea is to play f4 and use this knight on h4. Okay, so he just went safe. Alireza plays safe chess. He just beat world champion with white, yeah, so he's saying like, okay, I'm happy with draw with black, so let's do it. Oh, that's Alireza emoticon, yeah? Okay, cool. I have no time for this, unfortunately, but, and I am, okay, I cannot grab this. All right, so after hg3, we have standard, basically standard Carlsen structure. I really don't like bishop e7. I think should be knight on e7 because and the pawn should go to c6 because in this Carlsen structure, the knight on c6 is not that good. It is definitely not that good, which is the reason why I usually, you know, knight e7 c6. Okay, just keep that in mind. I don't know why bishop e7. I really don't like this move. Again, why am I clicking the wrong thing here? So knight g3, h3, and see knight e7 is the first line because there is a line which is very similar, I think, where black usually plays queen f6, knight e7. I don't remember if it's Rogozin or Nimzo, but it's very similar. And also also in London, there's such things. If white plays knight c3 London, and then he goes for that bishop g5, and then cd4, ed4. I had a game against Gelfand where I played this, and I messed up later, but it was a fun game. So knight e7 the first line, you know, g6, c6, you know, set up your pawns correctly, because right here, after this move, bishop e7, you see the evaluation jumps, because now black has problems defending this pawn, and the whole idea is that if black plays b6, then he is getting worse structure. I don't know about this a3, yeah? So maybe black's plan is to play knight b4. So the computer is saying that maybe knight b4, yeah? Knight b4, bishop e2, c5, and white cannot capture on c5 because of d4, obviously. And if white doesn't capture this, then he has to play this move, and then we have c4 and knight c6. And white has to play b3 or maybe a4 here, but I like b3. And of course, this pawn structure looks absolutely ugly for black, yeah? That hole on b5 and weak pawn on b7. But if he doesn't play c4, then black just loses his pawn on b7, right? So so knight b4, bishop e2, maybe not c5, but then what? I don't know. I really don't like this position. Okay, queen d6. Okay, the computer found this queen d6 trick. I mean, the idea is a3, knight c6, and you cannot capture this pawn. But this really doesn't look that logical to me. You know, the bishop should be on d6 and knight on e7. That's the best I can tell you. That is the best I can tell you. So, okay, so Alireza really goes for this, yeah? So he really goes for this. Yeah, I wish my emoticons would be ready, but they're not ready yet. So I'm working on that. So we are looking at another very aggressive play by Firouzja. Remember the first game that he lost? He went really aggressive with Magnus with black, and it backfired. Yeah, slightly anti-positional. Yeah, I mean, he needs to work. If he wants to play the structures, he needs to work on these structures a bit more, because it shows. Yeah, I mean, there are certain squares in certain structures. I mean, Carlsbad is like one of the most basic structures that you have to learn. If you're a starting player, you definitely have to learn how to play the structures, okay? Because once you learn them, you kind of know where all pieces have to go. Your opponent pieces and your pieces. And whenever something is wrong, you know that that's where your chance is, okay? So bishop e2, very correct play by Magnus. Black is, I think, already in trouble because that pawn on b6. So maybe b6 here, yeah. And if a3, then he will have to play knight a6, I think, because knight c6, rook a c1, knight a7 really looks really ugly. Although I guess it's possible he doesn't lose immediately, yeah. It is possible. Yeah, knight on a7 actually probably is the only way to play this. Knight on b5 looks good, but black just in time to play c5, and now he is okay. So you see, you don't exchange this bloody knight. Knight e5 looks correct, and then if c5, then ooh, look at this computer move, e4. Just precisely the right moment to break through in the center, but now okay, the computer changes his evaluation, so it's not that good, yeah. Okay, I was really excited about this e4 move. And then, of course, f4 is what usually white plays in this type of positions. You know, get that bishop on e6, it's the main defender of this whole pawn chain, and that's how you need to get rid of this bishop. So if this, f5, and then this pawn on d5, knight on a7, all the pawns on the dark squares, and your light squared bishop is going to be a monster, and that pawn on e6 is going to be a killer at some point. Okay, so that's one of the things that comes to mind. Let's see what happened in the game. Oh, they went for that c5 line, right? You guys, we analyzed this line, right? So knight c6, queen b7. So I'm pretty sure Alireza has to play c4 now, and we just looked at that line, and queen d1, knight c6, b3, and it's just really bad structure for black. Yeah, Magnus, of course, but he had great education, right? He had great education, he had great coaches. Okay, so he plays knight a6, and it's b3. Yeah, and this knight and that pawn on b7, it's really a problem for black. I really like this knight c7, probably the only way to play this. Take, but now this pawn on c4 and pawn on b7, the idea is that if you play a4, then black sort of gets this bishop on b4 in. It's not so simple anymore. Still probably the most accurate, because if you allow black to play b5, it's no longer that clear. I think black is okay. So maybe e4 is the most direct challenge you can do to challenge black here. Bishop d7, bishop g4 is probably bad because of knight e5. Yeah, knight goes to c6. Yeah, so e4 is probably most challenging move instead of a4. Let's see what happened here. What about Nakamura game? Okay, just as I said, yeah, major exchanges, c file, draw. That's what we're looking at. Okay. So b3. So Alireza thinking about this knight c7. I'm very sure he's thinking about that move, because if he takes on b3, that just admits positional defeat. You don't play cb3 against the Magnus Carlsen, because you'll be grinded down. You'll lose this game. So the only other suggestion is normal is knight c7. Okay, so knight c7. So let's go back to this. They didn't play it. And let's go back again to a4, because this looks absolutely natural. But after bishop b4, rook a c1, we probably have rook c8. But the computer shows that there is this trick with b5. And this looks like black will be okay after knight d6, yeah? In fact, he might be correct, because this a pawn will be quite dangerous if black can even, give up the c4 pawn, if he managed to exchange all the minor pieces, and if he managed to far advance this pawn supported by the rooks, because white central pawns, extra pawns, will not really matter, because white's rooks will be so passive behind this a pawn. Okay, so yeah, so this looks okay for black. So I think e4 is the main challenge, and black has to play b5, I think. f5 maybe. f5 is actually a computer move, challenging white center immediately, but the exchanges here should favor white, and bishop c4 is probably yeah, with that strong pawn on e6, weak pawn on b7. Yeah, black is definitely worse here. So okay, so let's see what happens. He plays, okay, so he goes for this, and now let's see. Now this is critical moment, right? So let's see if Magnus finds e4. Okay, so he plays a4. That is the that is sort of like automatic reaction move. And I told you guys, never play automatic moves. He had 12 minutes on the clock. I'm pretty sure he could have found that e4 Unless, of course, there's this bishop g4 maybe he was scared of. No, there is no bishop g4. And if b5, d5, bishop c8, there is this... I kind of like this position more because it just feels right. b4... What about e5? Then b4. Yeah, it's equal. No, it's not equal. Bishop b4. Okay, and if a b4, then just grab, and white's d6 pawn is just stronger. Yeah. So this was the position that you really need to understand and spend your time. Okay, this is a difficult position, I agree, but this is exactly the sort of position you practice your... So what I would recommend you guys to do, set this position up, set this up with e4, give yourself like half an hour and try to calculate as deeply as you can and or write all those lines down and then check them with the computer. This is perfect practice for you, okay? This is perfect practice for you. And we can see here that, because this, what we got in the game is a very standard Tarrasch structure. This is standard Tarrasch. I'll show you in a second. This is pretty standard and is considered to be actually okay for black. How it happens, usually happens like this. c5, take, knight f3, knight f6, right? g3, this, knight e5, c4. And what happens here is that a lot of the times black just gives up the c6 pawn and he wants to keep this pawn here. So for example, something like this, queen a5, b3, rook b8, white just grabs this pawn on c4, he grabs this pawn on c6. And oftentimes black just gives up this pawn, but he keeps the c pawn active and it's considered to be okay for black. Okay, that is the knowledge of the Tarrasch opening, and I don't think Magnus played that much against the Tarrasch, yeah, because Tarrasch is usually being played by the Azerbaijani players. So if you want to study this kind of structures, you need to study their games. I think Mamedyarov, Rajabov, maybe even, definitely some of those Mamedov guys. Yeah, okay. So knowledge of the openings and opening structures is extremely important at the top level, extremely important. And I think Alireza messed up somewhere. I don't think Alireza plays Tarrasch. I'm sorry, I just don't think he does. So he has no clue probably either. Okay, so a4, bishop b4, queen c2. And I think that the most natural move, of course, was here to play rook c8. And if e4, then you have f5, right? Then you have this move because you can just play bishop f7 and you chill out because this queen will be pinned. If white takes on c4, he will be pinned. He just lost, right? And he cannot play e5, and black is just, you know, standing pretty, right? So rook c8 was the most natural move. What happened in the game? He took on c3 immediately, and now he plays knight d5. And I think, yeah, now he gave up his very, very important dark squared bishop, and he didn't even manage to play b5 here. And now he is just worse, I think. So, but okay, let's check it out. Take. Okay, I really want to play b5, but in this particular case, there is a problem. Maybe, yeah, because e4. Because e4 and these pawns are starting to roll. And once they roll, they kick all these minor pieces to the bad squares. So black doesn't have b5. So he went queen d5, knight d5, queen a3. And this pawn on c4 is now very, very weak and unsupported. And rook fc1, we see the evaluation here. Black is stuck with the weakness on b7. This c3 pawn will be in huge danger of being lost. So what is black thinking actually? Okay, he's not lost, yeah? So you see how the computer defends this position? He simply gives up this pawn on c3 in order to basically secure the spot for a knight. And look at this, rook c3, I don't know, what happened to knight e1, then queen f6, okay, black is better. Really? White has to give up the exchange here? Wow, okay. e4, so c3. So actually black might be smart, yeah, c3, and he is not worse. So white will be forced to give up the exchange because of knight c2 trick. So I think maybe he's thinking about knight e1 here then, yeah. Knight e1, but then queen c7, and white cannot get to this pawn. I was saying this pawn was weak, but it's not so easy to get to it, yeah. Not so easy to get to this pawn. Rook, yeah, so probably I think Magnus is thinking about this. Putting the knight on d3, rook on b1, take care of this b4 square before he can attack this pawn. Pretty sure he is thinking about that. Knight b4 immediately. Aha. Now, but this is a mistake. This is a clear mistake because you allow white to play knight rook c3 and then it's exchange. Yeah. What is the point? The point is you knight f4. Tricky computer tactical tricks. Knight f2 check. Yeah, but the pawn on c4 is worse than on c3, right? He should have played c3 and knight e5 and knight d3. So that's how the computer plays this position. He breaks hold of this knight b4 check, knight b4 knight, and then white can play this rook b1 or knight c5. Yeah, knight c5, c2, and bishop d3. Because if you do this, then just bishop c2, rook c2 just wins the game. Right, I'm sorry I'm going in depth here, but I think it's really important. And Magnus goes rook c3. And now Alireza can go knight d5 back and correct his mistake and find the c3 move. So rook a b1 and queen c7. I like rook c7, but look at this, yeah? Here and knight b4. Do you see the difference, guys? You see with the knight on b4 and this far advanced pawn on c2, white cannot get to this pawn. He has to do something, right? Wow. So let's see what happens. Knight d5 back, very good. And rook c1. Okay, so they're going for a draw. Wow. Is Magnus really going to repeat the moves? Because, you know, rook c3 was bad, right? He has to play this... what you said he has to play? He has to play 91, or what was that we played? That was this move. 95, right, 95. He has to find 95 and this 93, which is not simple, but he has to find it. I don't know what he is afraid of. Is he afraid of bishop c4? Then rook c3, right? What is he afraid of? Queen b6, knight c5 again, queen d6, and just grab the pawn. So this is a critical moment. Yeah, there are a lot of commentators. I like Leko, I like Svidler, a lot of great commentators. We all have different approach to the commentating, right? But again, you should go and test all these guys and just figure out which one you prefer more, and that's it. So let's go back to the game. So Magnus has 10 minutes versus 4 minutes. He has superior position. Queen b2. For some reason, both computers like really much. I guess it sort of prepares this 95 thing, right? Takes away the c2 exchange win for black. So queen b2 is actually a very powerful move. I like queen b2. I was looking for a more forced way for white to play. That's why I suggest 95, c3, knight d3 together with the computer, right? And this looks really good. But of course, queen b2 is should be the major move. Since the threat is 95 or 92, and I don't know, rook c7 maybe, 95, queen c8, but now rook c3, of course. And if f6, then you have this nice little trick. You have this little trick with queen b3, right? Oh, and that is why white wins a huge tempo. Black doesn't have knight d5, and he cannot protect this pawn on c4. Oh, wow, 5-card draw. That is an interesting story, man. But can you tell us your opinion about this position? All right. I don't know. I don't see how that helps us to figure out the truth, to find the truth and justice in this position. What Magnus finds, so is he gonna find queen b2 95, or he's gonna chicken out with bishop rook c3? Rook c3 will be chickening out way. So I'm sure he sees queen b2. I'm sure he sees knight e4. So he is looking at he's calculating those lines. He's trying to figure out like what is the best way to squeeze this pawn c4 for all it's worth, right? Yeah, it's always sad, but that's what makes life so special, right? All those memories. Without those memories, we will not be who we are, right? We all have regrets, we all have sad moments, but we also have happy moments. So let's stay focused on the happy moments, okay? If you don't have happy moment, make one, right? Be positive, live life fully, without harming others, of course, in the process. So he found 95. He found 95. Very good job by Magnus. He probably found the 93 as well. All right. I don't mean to sound like a preacher, but it just makes sense. Yeah, common sense. All right. So 95, and he found it in actually 3 minutes. He spent 3 minutes to find this move. And let's see what Firouzja is going to come up with, because if that c4 pawn falls, black is just stuck in a really bad position. I don't know. I think Magnus is going to win this game, yeah? Because all he has to do right now is to neutralize that potential piece activity by black, which is, and this is the reason why black should have played c3 here, right? c3, and then knight b4, and then etc. So so black was not accurate. You have to be accurate. You have to be extremely accurate when you play somebody the level of Magnus Carlsen. Well, I think there are people who are actually able to make money and travel the world at the same time. Yeah. So see, try it. Try different things. Try to come up with, use your imagination. Remember the last episode of Star Trek Picard? And there was this girl Soji, and she was an android, right? She was saying like, I see no solution. I have to do this. And Picard says, if you don't see it, then you lack imagination. Use your imagination, man. Yeah, well, okay. I love Star Trek. I love Star Trek. It was a classic. It was a huge part of my upbringing. It was like those idealistic, of course, future. I don't think we'll ever see it, but it's nice. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, 93, right? We seen it. Nakamura draw, right? So you see, guys, I think it was correct that we didn't pick that game, right? So we're looking, if we're focusing on this game, I didn't stay much on the other game because Slav exchange on the C file, draw. So we're focusing on the right game. That actually I feel good about. Okay, so 93. What is black going to do? Queen b6 we already established is not that great, right? So we established that queen b6, then white plays this knight c5, which is good, or he can play, actually knight c5 seems, alright, the computer shows rook c3 is bad because of knight c2 and black is just better, yeah? So knight c5 is the only move. And if black plays queen d6, now you can take on c3 because, of course, knight c2 is impossible, queen is, what happens if black takes first though and plays rook c8, then I think just queen d2. And rook c2, queen d1, right? And, white is passive, but this is temporary. Again, black's activity is all temporary. White is a pawn up, superior structure. Knight on b4 is going to be exchanged, and that's probably it. And Alireza is down to 1 minute versus 8 minutes by Magnus. Alireza overpressed, and he didn't play the most accurate defense, and he's stuck in a worse situation with much less time on his clock. Naka just wants to finish with the 2.5 and 1/2. Actually, you're right. Actually, you are correct. He did won the first game, right? So all he has to do is just to draw the rest of his games to win the match. I'm not sure what the scoring system is. Is it match points or game points are included? Rook AB1. Oh my God, Rook AB1 is incorrect by Magnus. Incorrect. Rook AB1. Okay, bishop f5 is also incorrect, yeah? This is also incorrect, guys. Pay attention. The class is in session, guys. Come on. So c2 and queen a6, followed by bishop c4, will have given black advantage. Because you cannot take this knight because of ab, right? And both bishop and queen are hanging. So white has to play bishop f1, but he completely missed bishop c4 move. I think he didn't realize how this move is dangerous, because rook is on the second rank, and after bishop f1, white cannot take on f1. Queen f1 and c1 check, right? So this was a huge miscalculation on the part of Magnus and Alireza as well. Alireza, because he didn't have time to think. So he plays bishop f5, and now we probably have a series of moves. Unbelievable. Queen a6, c2, and queen a6, and black might win. Yeah, what an amazing blunder by world champion. And what an amazing counter blunder by the Alireza. This is why you should have more time on your clock. This is why you don't spend your time on the obvious moves. You try to find the right thinking. Yeah, rook b3, and it's just back to bad position for black. It's just back to the bad position. He has to take with the bishop now. Right, he cannot play queen a6 anymore, because just queen f4. And if queen c8, queen c6, rook grabs and pawn down. So he has to take this pawn, he has to play c2. And white just plays bishop c2, and if queen c7, there is no queen c7 because of bishop h6 check. h7 check, and the queen, if the queen goes, then it's bishop d1. White wins the pawn, he has superior structure, and it's probably curtains, right? So I'll play maybe here and try for this little trick with b5, but you can't really play it because of bishop e2, yeah? No, you can't play this. Okay, so it is playable. Okay, so this is probably what I would do. So let's see what Alireza does. Oh, okay, so we went for this line. And so c2 was played. Okay, so bishop d3 was played, right? And c2 was played, and Magnus took with the rook, which is also not so bad, but I didn't like it. And rook c8 is probably queen c6. Queen c6 and bishop. Alright, so black wants to play rook c8 and take over the c file. Makes sense. And rook d1 probably, rook c8, rook b1 is what white should do. But this advantage is not winning. Black has this control of the c file. Bishop f5, this was computer first line, I didn't believe in it, but of course bishop takes control of the c8 square. Now that makes a lot of sense, and white wins the time to play rook c3 and take the c file himself first. Wow, Magnus, he is Magnus. He gets he gets all the right moves in, right? Now it's +2, it's a technical win for Magnus, and what we're gonna see is realization of that material advantage and structural advantage. It's just, you know, what this proves is that these guys still make mistakes, like, but not obvious mistakes, but they still do mistakes, and that gives hope that they are not unbeatable. I mean, anybody would love to grind out this position, especially when you have extra pawn line, the only open line, C line, right? Great structure. The knight on b4 is kind of so-so. Anybody would love to play this right, to be honest. Now the computer goes with bishop d1, bishop b3. Magnus plays for a very similar idea. He wants to play bishop c4. Actually, probably bishop b5, just to make sure that b pawn doesn't go anywhere. So are we gonna see bishop b5 or bishop c4? I'm very curious. Maybe g4, yeah? 7 minutes on the clock. Wow. Ali will push in the last game. He has to. He has no choice. He will have to play, and he will throw everything. Actually, the ideal scenario for him would be to play just like he did in the second game. Yeah? Keep the position closed, sort of invite Magnus to attack, and then counter-attack. Viktor Korchnoi style. So that's what Viktor Korchnoi loved to do. He loved to feign the weakness, invite the attackers, and then beat them on the counter-attack. So queen c8, I'm not sure this was so great for white. Basically, white is just going to play f3, e4, g4, king f2, d5, start pushing this. If white exchanges queens, he is just... is it winning? I think should be winning, because white gets c4, f4, e5 in, right? Then d5, d6, he gets 2 pass pawns in the center, so that will be a win. So white needs to exchange the queens. and then he will win the game. So, but to be honest, I like the rooks more. So I think what white should have really done is to try to trade the queens and keep the rooks on board, because bishop and rook is much stronger than the knight and rook, especially in this situation. So yeah, Yasser loved pawns. He actually taught me that. You know, he was always, you know, when we were analyzing together, he was always looking at those pawn structures. Yeah, that's how I got it. I got it from him. Yeah, it was actually a good idea that I managed to spend some time with him, you know, analyzing stuff together. And thank you to Yasser for actually spending his time for some kid doing chess. Okay, queen d3. White is going forward with his plan. He's gonna go e4, and then probably e5, f4. White needs to put his pawns on the dark squares. You know, the pawns will be taking control of the dark squares, while the white bishop will be taking control of the white squares. What's my score against Yasser? I think it's about even. I think it's about even. We didn't play that much. E4, knight goes to b4, and we're looking at queen c3 probably, or queen e3, right? Queen e3. I like h5, but the problem with h5 is it's on the light square, right? It's on the square of the bishop. The advantage of h5 is that white can no longer play g4, and that means his pawns will have to be... White will have to be careful how he puts his pawns. It's actually not so simple, yeah? The computer shows +3 here, but it's not that simple. So you see, white is like sort of darting back and forth like a boxer, experienced boxer. He's looking for weakness, looking for a way to strike at black's position, and one of these ways is queen c8 check e5, I guess. As I said, white needs to exchange the queens, and that's how he's going to exchange the queens. If he gives the check on c8, plays e5, queen takes control over those e6, f5 squares, which are critical. Because if you play e5 right now, black just plays queen f5, and black gets that huge queen b1 thing, right, that he wanted. So, ever play Ulf Anderson? Yes, I got lucky to actually play him. I played him in Tilburg tournament. I got really killed in the opening with black, but then I managed to trick him, just like Alireza tricked Magnus here. So, you know, the youth is very strong with his trickiness and, you know, all those tactics abilities, right? I mean, I got outplayed positionally, but then I used the tricks while he was long time, and I managed to swindle him and I win the game. But yeah. So the second game I think we played was a draw. Don't remember now. So white plays f4. And now look at this computer move d5. Queen takes e4. Pawn moves to d6. It is unstoppable until it reaches d7. And the computer says it's winning because the bishop takes the only knight square in c6 where the knight could stop this pawn. So let's see if Magnus finds this d5 move. I'm not sure he will be able to find this move because, you know, giving up the e4 pawn, the connecting pawn, is like scary, dude. Bobby Fischer, no, I never played Bobby Fischer. Dude, like Bobby is like, it's like way. I wasn't even born when he was when he became world champion, I think. Yeah, I was born in '74, and this guy became champion in '72, I think. So. Ooh, queen c4. Queen c4. Queen c4, queen e4, queen f7, king h6. Woo. Yeah, probably winning. Yeah, probably winning still. Queen f6, yeah, queen f6, queen e5. Very solid Magnus Carlsen chess. Then king ranks to h2. And then queen on e5, the centralized mega super pooper queen. It will just sort of destroy black's position. The opening I played lots. Nimzo opening, I used to like Nimzo. Why? Because Karpov played it against me, I couldn't kill him. and he had a lot of instructive wins against me on the black side of Nimzo, and that's how I got to play Nimzo myself. That's how you actually learn chess, how you should learn chess actually, by losing a lot of your games, because then you learn that the stuff that the opponent does to you is effective. Alekhine. Okay, so King G1, that's Yasir Serevan emote, yeah? That's Yasir Serevan emote. So black is completely deprived of any counterplay. The knight on b4 has no moves, and black king is wide open. And to add insult to injury, okay, so black wants to play knight c2, knight c2, knight e3. One thing about Alireza, he is extremely resourceful. Extremely resourceful. King h2. I'm not exactly sure about this move. Check on bishop c4. Okay, queen f8 and bishop c4. Bishop c4 immediately. Bishop c4 immediately even stronger, right? Okay, so Magnus found the way to mate this kid first. Yeah, very good job. Not just win technically, but the winning by a mating attack. Great performance. Black can resign. Yeah, bishop g8 is just unstoppable. Bishop g8, bishop f7, queen g8, queen g6, right? That is the huge thing. Yeah. So it's 1-0. Wow. So that's why you don't get bad structure against Magnus. He's gonna kill you. He's gonna kill you. All right, game number 4, incoming. Let's check. Okay, so they are going over, yeah, the games. So you guys have like a 5-minute break, I guess. So where Alireza went wrong? First of all, in the opening, yeah, he didn't play that knight e7, c6 stuff. Then he went for this knight b4, c3, but he didn't play c3. So half measures, they don't work. So you have to commit yourself to the plan if you're really going for it. Whoa. Oh, and we have the game. And we have another drawish game, so if Hikaru makes a draw here, then he wins the match, right? I mean, this game 4, Hikaru won the first game, then it was 2 draws, and it's Italian. I love Italian food, but the Italian game in chess I absolutely hate. And the thing about this Italian game at this a5 line, which is becoming more and more hot and common, is that black wants to play bishop d7, queen b8, and then push b5, a4, or put the queen on a7. And that's the only thing I can tell you about this. That's the only thing I learned about this. Alireza will win with white now. Have you learned openings that you don't like to play against? Exactly. There have been countless times when I played an opening, I couldn't find an advantage with white, and then I thought to myself, wow, what a great opening for black to play. And that's how I switched to the black side of the opening. And that's, I think, just a, pretty smart way of learning openings. You play opening, different play against different opponents, and basically do it. So we have 116 people in the channel. I hope you guys having a good day. We see Italian game here. I wish there was spaghetti variation, but I don't think there is one. There should be one, yeah. There definitely should be lasagna variation of the Italian opening. Come on, guys. Lasagna is like one of my all-time favorite Italian foods. I love lasagna. Just like Garfield, yeah? Use meatball attack. Hey, Mark, isn't there like meatball attack already in some opening? I think I heard it actually somewhere. Meatball attack. But I would definitely like to, in this, you know, there's lasagna line in the Italian opening. I might consider playing it. Okay, just because of the name. Fried liver, yes. Fried liver. Oh, H4 G4. That's really meatball attack. Okay, H4 G4. Okay, so Grob was not too wrong. Yeah, he wasn't too wrong. But he only played G4. He should have added H4 to his repertoire. Ah, you just guessing? Ah, yeah. Okay, so boring Italian opening. I mean, the Italians don't deserve this, you know, opening to be called. I mean, they don't deserve to be such a boring opening. The Italian game should be like some action, you know, action opening. But unfortunately, lasagna benediction. Ah. Oh, you know why this was Italian? Because it was Italian Gambit, right? It was that Muzio or some other cool dude. And Evans Gambit, exactly. And Knight G5 as well. But unfortunately, nobody plays this the stuff these days, yeah. I'm wondering what kind of lasagna Muzio and Evans preferred. That would be nice. You know, or maybe they like some other kind of food. Pizza! Oh my god, pizza. I haven't had a really good pizza since I moved to Russia. Oh, I miss those. I miss those 42nd Street pizza in New York City. You know, those little stands on the street? God, they made some of the best pizza there. You know, the street vendor stuff, yeah? Yeah. Wow. Okay, because they don't know how to cook pizza here in Russia, that's for sure. And when I went to Italy, you know, after I moved to the US, I tasted that pizza for the first time. I loved it. And then I went to play in Reggio Emilia tournament, and I ordered pizza in restaurant. And they brought this pizza, and I was like, how come they cook this pizza so well in New York, and in Italy they do it like they ruin it, yeah? I apologize if I insult somebody's you know, Italian food pizza in Italy, but yeah. Yeah, margarita. Okay, no more food stuff, guys. I haven't had pizza in a long time. This is not fair to me. Not fair. It's like all right. So Firza, Carlsen, they're not started yet, and that's one good thing about playing in Vike. They had this absolutely fantastic Italian restaurant. If you ever guys go to watch those famous Vike and Zaya tournament in Holland in January, right? You should definitely stop by that Italian restaurant. Tell them that Gata played there last time in 2012, like 8 years ago, but he still remembers your lasagnas. Yeah, those like home cooked lasagnas, and you know, so give regards to that chef, okay? SPV Moscow food much better than 10-20 years ago. Yeah, I agree, but okay. In Venice. Dude, you don't go to Venice for pizza, man. What are you doing? Come on. Venice is completely... If you're eating pizza in Venice and not doing other things, I'm like... I have no words, okay? Like, Venice is... You bring your girlfriend, or potential girlfriend, or your loved one to Venice. That's what you do. Yeah? By the way, where is the best Italian opera? Which city? You guys know? Can you recommend? In Rome? Maybe. Okay. Oh, I wanted to go to Rome. I wanted to go to Vatican. I'm wondering if Pope is actually allowed to eat pizza. Do you guys know? Or he is a vegetarian? Interesting. It would be cool to know. Huh? I don't know. There is vegetarian pizza. Yeah, there is, but okay. But the whole point of pizza is like you having all those meatballs and all that stuff on it. It's your birthday, Abraham. Happy birthday to you, dude. I wish I had music connected to this thing. I played like, you know, one of those late night shows in the US and they have those music clips. But, you know, I don't have one, sorry. So I can just wish you happy birthday. Teatro La Scala. La Scala, because Italians like famous, right, for music and operas. I remember there was this great book by Georges Sand, It was what was the name? Consuelo, right? It was an absolutely incredible book. It was I think it was the only time I actually enjoyed a book of that type. Yeah, so much history, so much go into those different types of music. It also and Italian music, Italian opera. So if you guys haven't read some of that historical stuff, you know, Georges Sand, that was a French, I think she's a French writer, yeah? Yeah, so she wrote that magnificent books. It was Consuelo, then there is the sequel, I think, and probably there's another sequel, so. Okay, no comment. No comment on there. All right, let's go back to Firuza. Oh, come on, guys. They haven't started yet. Huh? Mic? You guys want to see my new mic? That's my new mic. Okay? This is new mic. It looks like a rocket ship. Me in my life, we absolutely love it. I also love space games, right? Like Stellaris, Star Treks. So this is just perfect. It's called Samson something. It looks like a starship. Perfect. Yeah. It's very neat. It has the stands, right? And it has this very nifty mute button. You see it here? So if I press... Okay. All right. So in case, you know, if there's something going on in the room, I can just press the button without, you know, clicking my mouse all over the screen. Yeah, etc. Okay. So thank you guys for your support. Without your support, I couldn't have, you know, bought this mic. So I bought this mic, and now I'm looking to improve some of my stream, some of my, I don't know, Windows layout, I guess. I actually went to this Fiverr, and have they started yet? Okay, so since you guys don't see it, I went to this Fiverr. I apologize that this is completely off here, but you see there are orders here, and these guys, they're doing some design here, and I've stole this website recommendation from some guys on YouTube. You need to get sub stuff, right? Well, basically I just said that if I press this mute button, you guys can hear me. That's all I said. So, but you know, there's like, so I didn't realize there's like whole industry now, you know, based on this the streaming stuff. You know, so many artists. You know, I'm so happy for all those artists. They get so much work. You know, doing all those designs, drawing stuff. You know, for all these streamers, it's like huge. Yeah, I'm trying to get emotes done, and then yeah, but I have to figure out, you know, I'm not a techno person. I'm 45 and I'm discovering all this stuff. I'm a little slow, and it takes me time, you know, to do the coverage of the tournament. I get a little bit tired, and then, you know, trying to find the time to, you know, learn about that stuff. For example, you know, I set up some, you know, chat bots here, like Wisebot or MoveBot or then Nightbot, and then there was like a year and a half ago, and they got all mixed up. So right now, right before the stream, I was trying to figure out which bot was in my chat, and I did something. I probably disconnected something, and I have no clue. And turns out you need a second account on Twitch for your bot chat account. So I have to go back and like spend a couple of days to figure all that stuff out. Okay, so all right. Sorry I get that involved, but I'm trying to be thorough, like in chess style, right? In chess, when I approach my chess, I approach my studying openings like very thoroughly, very methodically, like, you know, the old Russian Soviet school. That's how you do it. Yeah, you do stuff like, you know, slowly but well. Okay, solidly. Some people, just for them, it's like simple magic. They just go and do this like a bingo. But for all the guys like me, it takes time and method. There is a method to this madness. That's why I don't play like Shirov, right? I play my chess. I find some system, try to come up with a plan, and that's called strategic positional chess. The position is so boring. Yeah, and it's also extremely difficult to play for both sides. And I'm waiting for that Firuza game. Actually, I think this is a very smart choice because by Giri, because nothing is exchanged. Absolutely nothing. Not a single pawn, not a single piece. And that means the game is in balance. Basically, this position is actually preferable for white. I'll just tell you why I think that way, because there is this thing. I got really caught in it a few times. So I'll share this thing, a little trick that I learned. So, they played a5, right? Okay, so that was, I don't know, okay, so what did they play? Let's be thorough. C3, knight f6, d3, d6, okay, c3, knight f6, d3, d6, right? That's what they played. Castles, h6, rook e1, castles, what else? Knight d2, a5, knight f1, knight e7, because there are some important nuances that you guys have to know. Bishop b3, knight h6, knight g3, rook e1. So the whole game actually revolves around black's bishop on c8, bishop e6. I'll tell you this much. Right, and white basically grabbed the center, and this position is considered to be better for white. The reason why is because black is extremely passive, and black can actually never play d5, because there is thing as e takes d5, bishop takes on g6, and then you take on e5, and on g6 sometimes it's extremely important because black played h6, right? He cannot take on g6 with the h-pawn. And in a lot of lines, this is one of the key factors. So white is slightly better here, precisely because bishop on c7 maybe was better placed on f8, which is the reason why a lot of grandmasters, they prefer to play bishop c5, bishop a7, and then suddenly if the structure changes, they go back and they play bishop c5 and bishop f8, which is incredible, but it's true, because right now bishop on c7 is closed, and the only way to get him back into position is by playing either d5 to try to open him, but black can't because white played d4 first. So d5 is impossible, and that means that bishop on c7 is in a really bad spot. So let's go to, oh my god, they also play Italian. No. Oh, okay, so this is a Berlin, anti-Berlin, which now sort of becomes an Italian. So Firuza, so you see Magnus, he switched from c5, right? Because there's an old superstitious rule. If you lose a game in a certain opening, there is such a thing as a top level. If you lose a game in certain opening, you gotta switch the opening. Because if you try it again, you want to try same opening but different line, you're gonna lose. It's like, I think it was like very high accuracy. It might be old wives' tale, yeah, but I don't know. But it's like really such a superstition that exists at the top level especially. Okay, so this is important. This is why Magnus switches to e5. I mean, it's not the only reason there, but it's one of the reasons that I think might have influenced his decision to switch. So we have Berlin, d3. Magnus won the game, so he goes for Berlin, right? Berlin is very solid. He needs only draw to win the match, and white plays now knight c3. This is not your standard move. d6. Again, Magnus just plays very solid chess. Bishop g5, h6. And the old line here, I believe, went bishop f6, queen f6, knight d5, queen d8, c3. And it was definitely line in the Italian game like this. Yeah, knight c3 is not a very common line. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You had set up wise, but I don't know. Why bishop a4, not bishop c2 straight away? Because he wanted to provoke black into playing c6. And okay, so we see this line. Usually this line is being played via Italian game. But here white's bishop on b5, and I'm not sure if that's better for white or for black. I guess it's about the same. The only thing is that, ooh, b4, aha, so that is the difference. And now you have a4, and the black is forced to play a5, and then he's stuck in a slightly worse structure, right? So that is the difference. With the bishop on c4, you don't have this b4. I see. Well, that's actually very interesting. Okay, let's guys get this board going. You know me, right? We need to have this hands-on approach. We gotta do this. The only way you improve is not by making theoretical discussions of linear physics, but actually approaching and trying out your theories, right? So you gotta cook it while it's hot, yeah. So knight d5, queen d8, b4. Otherwise, black is just completely equal. So so a4. So let's see what Magnus does. Oh, he didn't play a4. He plays c3. Okay, so he's saying that there is no rush with a4. Actually, he is right, but after a6, if white just leaves with the bishop, then after b5, black's structure is completely normal. This is considered to be actually a good structure for black. Because if you play d4, then that pawn on c3 will be weak. And this is just equal. And I don't know, is Magnus going to play a6 here? I think he will find this move. So if white played a4 first, then after a6, bishop c4, right? Bishop a7, now you have, and now you play c3, but basically you get the same thing. So what happens here? Why not knight b6? If bishop takes and knight takes, and then, okay, so it's still equal, right? It's still equal. So maybe he is okay. Okay, maybe he did the right move. He plays just c3. He plays c3, and then a6, just bishop c4, and it's equal, right? This is equal. Surprised he didn't go for a4. Yeah, but you see, it helps for us to analyze this. Yeah, so after a4, a6, I don't see how. It is a4, right? a5, also interesting, but this structure should be better for white. Yeah, because black is stuck with this weakness on b7 again. So it's like reversed from the previous game, except the colors are changed, and so this is definitely better for white. So black has to play a6, and now just bishop c4, bishop a7, c3, and knight e7. Yeah, it looks like black is okay. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is if yeah, but white has no time to take the bishop and run because that pawn on b4 is hanging. I mean, if black didn't take this pawn, right, if he plays something like this, then even here it's not so clear. Not so clear. Yeah, these structures are very deceptive. You guys have to be very careful. I mean, Italian and Spanish are very close. And this is sort of Italian now. If you guys didn't see the previous moves, you would probably say that this position structure arrived from the Italian game. But it is actually a Spanish game. In a lot of ways, are similar. So Alireza plays c3. So if a6, bishop c4, bishop a7. Looks equal. So what did Magnus do? And he did go for this a6, take, bishop c4. And we go for this line, right? All right. So castles. So this is a critical position, I guess. This is critical position, and the question is, what is white and black plan? What is white and black plan here? So I like this in Italian game. You often see black knight going to g6. Because that f4 square is kind of yummy, right? And if white plays g3 with his bishop on b3 especially, that gives huge white squares for black's bishop on c8. I mean, the knight on c6 is doing absolutely nothing, so they're rerouting the knight to g6. It helps with the king protection. It also opens the file for the rook, and it creates that knight f4 thing, right? So knight e7 makes a lot of sense. I'm not sure why the computer plays d4 here. I think knight h4 would make a lot of sense as well. And g5. G5 is the third line, actually. It's a very interesting line, yeah. Very interesting, because you don't have knight f5, queen h5. Whoa. What is this? Okay, bishop e6. This is probably equal. This is probably equal. But okay, let's not go this far. So, because after d4, knight g6, black is completely fine. This is already, you can see the evaluation. Black is better. That's why knight h4 is commonly played to prevent knight g6 from playing. And black can just play bishop e6, and he's also good because white cannot really exchange this bishop because this c3 pawn is now weak. This is a weaker pawn than black's pawn on e6. So these structural things are huge. So what happened? And Magnus just plays queen f6. The threat is bishop g4, rook e1, and bishop e6, and basically I think black is just completely fine here. White has no time for d4 because of bishop g4, and if h3, then black can just play rook ac8, and d4 now makes no sense because you can't take with the c pawn, you have to take with the knight, and yeah, this looks like a disaster for white. Yeah, so these double pawns on the queen side, they're actually not bad. In fact, there is if I had time, okay, let's Giri Nakamura. Okay, you see this like again Spanish game. Giri is pressing. All he's left to do is like play g4, knight f5, and go for the standard Spanish Chigorian system attack. So I expect that. So this looks very drawish. I don't think Magnus is gonna be lost here. a4, correct. Needs to get rid of the bad pawns. And what I was talking about, there is such a position. Let me quickly show you. There is such a thing in Sicilian, for example, Naiderf, right? The one that I'm playing, that I'm very fond of. I think I'm the only one at the top level who played the system with a4. And then there is such system as bishop c4, bishop e6. And often white just plays bishop b3 here, and the idea is very similar. These pawns are not weak because this b3 pawn provides the c4 square. So sometimes structure is important, but it's also sometimes important to note the subtle differences in the structure. So these double pawns, they're actually okay. And based on the overall structure, like white wants to play bishop g5, take on f6, play knight d5, and then this b4, b5 comes in, right? So that's just basics, okay? So let's go back to the Firouzja game. a4, rook c8, ab5, ab5. White, there is no way for white to attack this pawn on b5 without playing d4 first. And if you play d4, then of course the mass exchanges, and is knight e1, knight c2, knight e3, knight d5 a plan? There is such a plan. I mean, ideally that's what white wants to do. Sometimes he does it like g3, knight h4, knight g2, knight e3, knight e1, knight c2, knight e3 as well. Usually it's been done when the queen side and is completely closed, right? Where do you have this? You have this in an Italian game, for example. Italian game where white takes on e6, f takes on e6, and black goes for this knight h5, right? And if you looked at that match where Magnus played Karyakin, they played a lot of Italian games. I think Magnus was white. And he went for all those knight maneuverings, and he outplayed Karyakin quite a lot in those structures, right? So he played for that knight e3, then d4. It's a huge maneuvering. Rarely, okay. Knight e7, g6, f4 is much faster, right? But Magnus only needs a draw in this game to win the match. He knows that he is not worse, right? White is preparing this d4 stuff, but knight e7, knight g6 looks really fast, and especially now that there is the queen on e2, which will be, you know, tempo, right? So let's go to this analysis board. So what happened here? a4, I think, right? So here, take, bishop e6, queen e6, queen e2. And is this the position that we have? Rook fd8 has been played. Mark was talking about knight e7. I really like knight e7 because, you know, pawn is under attack, right? You have to protect it, but then knight g6. And if d4, for example, there is no way you can grab this pawn because of knight g2 now, right? And queen g4 check. So black is just winning here. And if white plays g3, then it's like very good time for f5, and now all hell breaks loose here on the king side, and white has to go for defensive here. So this is, you know, I'm pretty sure if Magnus was like in a must-win situation, he would play something like knight e7 without thinking. But because he is, you know, he is very comfortable, he is having a very good position. He plays rook fd8. Basically, he is saying, kid, you know, I'm not worse. I'm just gonna play d5, go for d5 here. I'm gonna make a draw. I don't care what are you doing here, because basically, not just because I'm Magnus, but because black is just too solid here. Добрый вечер. Добро пожаловать на мой стрим. Сейчас идет четвертая партия этого матча. Магнуса +1. И, в общем, нормальная позиция. Black is okay. So, let's look at the time. At the time, we have Magnus has an advantage of 4 minutes. And he has practically no weaknesses, no practical weaknesses in his position. And I think, you know, this probably is going to be first draw in the match. It was kind of curious, yeah? These guys are fighters. So it was first win was for Magnus, and then second win was for Alireza. Third game was a win for Magnus. It was like Magnus is trying to prove that he is not afraid to, slug it out, to go into the street fighting with anybody. He fought with Nakamura, who is, Japanese samurai guy, right? He's also this crazy fighter. And they had 4 straight, result games that ended in a result, right? And now he had, in this match, 3 games that ended in a result. This tells me that Magnus wants to brawl, he wants to brawl, he wants to fight, he's hungry for some action. And that is always an attitude that we welcome from our world champions. It promotes our game of chess. It does a lot of great things for chess, right? Who wants boring draws, right? Who wants those Italian games when you can play? Okay, that was probably too far, yeah? Italian games, okay. And here we have Italian structure, I must admit. Though we arrived there through the Spanish, but it was not fault of Magnus. So probably a draw. So what's going on? Alireza is thinking. He's got 7 minutes. He lost this d5, and the game is rapidly approaching its logical conclusion, which is a draw. I mean, the question, of course, the main question would be: is Black going to take on a4? Because if White takes with the pawn, then that queen will be eyeing that b5 pawn, right? The tournament has his name. He cannot be passive. Yeah, I noted that there's a lot of times, if we go back in history, there were some times like when world champions really tried to organize their own tournaments. It didn't go really well for them because, they felt responsibility, to, make the tournament more attractive. So they took extra risks, and usually such tournaments didn't end well for the world champions. I don't remember which ones. I can't give you direct examples, but I'm sure some of you guys know your chess history much better than me, and you can come up with the examples. So Magnus organizing this tournament, he has to do something to make it attractive. It's the only top level tournament right now at this time slot, I think. So he's definitely is going to enjoy attention here. So what is White going to do, right? There are only 2 ways to play this position. Either you take on d5, which just happened, and rook d5. Rook d5 is interesting. I was thinking queen takes d5, but I guess rook d5 is also okay. I probably would have played queen d5. Just centralize that queen, get that queen away from the X-ray on the e file, and then rook d1, rook e8 makes more sense to me personally. Because right now after rook d5, White sort of gets some tricks up his sleeve because of that pin, yeah. And all right, but it's probably still a draw because if White plays d4, he agrees on a draw. But can he improve his position? I don't know. This d3 pawn and c3 pawns are kind of weak. Knight has to stay on f3. He has to stay on f3 because there are no better places for this knight. And Black is just going to simply double the d file. Maybe the computer likes queen d7, get that queen away from the e pin. But of course rook c d8 is very logical as well. So queen e4, queen d7, rook d2, probably queen d7 anyway, and or queen g6, right? It just looks like Black double pawns on the b file, they are okay because White has c3 and d3 targets. The only way for White to proceed would be to play c4, but that weakens the d4 square, weakens the b4 pawn, so White cannot do that. I can even imagine the position where White pieces should be, where he can potentially hope for a win here. I don't see it. If White gets knight to e4, Black just plays b6 and then f5, right? If knight gets to e3, with the idea to put the knight on f5, okay, so Black just plays g6 at some point, so knight on e3 is useless, right? So knight on f3 is probably ideal place. Only thing I can think of is if White's rook on e1 was instead on e3, right? And then you have this d4 break. Is there a possibility that players using engine They're playing like the engine. No, these are all standard moves. These are very easy moves to find. I would say that the 2400, 2500 LO players would find these moves as well. This is nothing, extraterrestrial about this position. So I would say, this looks like going to the draw. You can't really go wrong unless White really wants to take the risk. I don't think Alireza is going to take the risk here. Losing the match with a minimal score to the world champion who is still like kicking ass is not a bad thing. The possibility that the players are using engine are nil because they have cameras, right? You guys have cameras here. You see guys watching, playing the game. Magnus actually took off his jacket. And I don't know why they're so far behind here. Probably they're looking at the games, right? So we are down to 10 minutes versus 6 minutes. He has no rating points to lose though. Yeah, but why would you want to lose the game? I mean, you have to be objective. At the top level, the grandmasters are usually objective. If they see no chance to win the game, and there is alternative is to lose, taking a risk. Normal grandmasters would not take the risk. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The top players don't want to destroy their careers at some lousy online tournament because they're gonna earn in prizes in classical chess way more than they can possibly lose. However, that being said, I don't personally think I can even name a number at which point it would even look as a possibility. Yeah, if you make a prize fund of at least I don't know, maybe $10 million, then people can probably start thinking about it. Yeah, even start thinking about it. I'm pretty sure they will decline it anyway, because the world champion in chess, he makes so much money. Alireza, he's only 16 or 17, right? If he becomes a world champion, and along the way to being a world champion, he's gonna make at least like a ton of money, way more than 10 million, right? So there is no reason for them to try to cheat. Yeah, no reason at all. They're gonna lose more. It's just not an attractive option. It's attractive option for people who haven't become grandmasters, for people who are not making very little money despite spending a lot of time on chess. And it's sort of like really difficult because now, especially with the coronavirus thing, right? So at that point, when you're like not even an IM, when you're like I think FM is already at borderline, right? So when you're like rated 1900 and you spend like 20 years trying to improve your chess and you couldn't improve your chess, that is the situation that you can consider doing stuff like that. But again, it's like a one-shot deal, right? We all know all those famous movies from the past, remember? Like the guy who's a professional bank robber, for example, right? He gets many years in jail, he comes out of jail, and then he gets an offer like, let's do this one last job so you can retire, right? We all know this movie theme, right? And of course the movies, they make it fun, right? They go further, they make a plot, they like betrayal stuff, So, but in chess it's simpler than that. You can't retire on a $5,000. Yeah, it's just gonna last you maybe a year maximum if you live in a country where everything is cheap, but that's about it. They retire every night with blowfish. Okay. As long as you don't call it a blow doll, okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So see, Alireza is trying to do something. He put his knight on a3, but I think he shouldn't have, because his knight should have been left on f3, because right now only black can play for a win. Yeah. Yeah, but for a lot of people, like $500 is a lot of money. That's why all that cheating on chess.com on Title Tuesdays occurs, because for a lot of countries it's a lot of money. And if you not get caught, right? If you not get caught, then it's sort of like, hey, I got away with it. You get the thrill of adrenaline, right? So a lot of people, like maybe I'm just guessing it, right? Maybe not doing it for money even, for the thrill of getting away with it. Yeah, like cops and robbers or something. It's like they get high from that. Yeah, exactly. The rush of the muck. Rush of the muck. Yeah. All right. I don't know. Is there such a thing as being a chess junkie? Yeah. Well, there's definitely a phrase I heard about being adrenaline junkie. But okay, let's go to gear game. Ooh, what happened here? Okay, black is pawn down, but he's got this major bishop on e5. So this looks like another draw because black is just too active. In fact, I would say that black is even better here, yeah? f5, ooh. What about f5 here? f5 just grabs the pawn. Isn't it? I mean, why didn't he take with the king? Why didn't he take with the king? What is he doing? What is Giri doing? Why didn't he take with the king? f5 just... Alright, Giri is down to 2 minutes. I mean, knight h1, oh my god. Right, king takes on h1 and that's it. There's no f5, it's draw. After knight h1, f5, now black is playing for a win. Alright, so what happens here? Oh, Firuzai is just going back and forth. Okay, so this is gonna be a draw. I'm pretty sure it is. Because black wants to play f5 and sort of start pushing that central pawn chain, right? Then bishop g3 and your pawn's on the light squares, but you have an extra pawn and you don't give anything, right? You keep your extra pawn. Black is not going to take on g3. He has a wonderful bishop on e5. Why would he want to exchange that? Okay. Well, in Argentina, Brazil, people would murder you for $500. Yeah, I heard some horror stories about Latin American countries because yeah, I mean they would rather risk their lives, you know, to cross the United States southern border wall, right? They would hire those coyote guys, yeah, to try to get into the United States. They would give their last money, you know, to try to make the journey. A lot of people actually, you know, the famous boat stuff, right? You know, people, you know, riding some boats and makeshift boats, going by the sea, risking, you know, being caught in a storm and die, you know, in water, in the sea. It's horrible. It actually happened, right? A lot of times. Ooh, h4. Magnus playing 98. He is not playing for a draw. Wow, 98. Red move. Red move. Why? Curious minds want to know, why was d4 a bad move? Okay, so let's go back to our analysis board. So what the hell happened here? We have a lot of moves back and forth, right? So let's just basically put stuff where it was. Queen g6, 91, right? There is rook here. Then knight here. King on h7. Then we have a lot of this thing. 93. I guess here, queen f3, and then we have 98, right? I got it right? I didn't get it right, yeah. I didn't get it right. Okay, the rook is on d5 somehow. Okay, let me get it right. 91, king h7. Okay. So this position, what happened? d5, e takes d5, rook d5, rook d1, rook d2, queen d6. Okay, queen d6. Rook cd8, right? Queen d6. Okay, 91, queen g6, right? 91, no. White played, what happened? Rook d1, rook d8, rook d2, queen d6. Ah, rook d1, okay. So what did I do wrong? Here? h3, yeah? Ah, h3, okay, okay. h3, queen, rook, queen g6. Yeah, this is I have always difficulty with, because, you know, they playing all these waiting moves, and sometimes it's hard to remember which waiting move was what. So 93. So it goes here, queen f3, and 98, and Firouzja missed his opportunity here, h4. Magnus really quickly playing h5, and Firouzja doesn't see this d4. Wow. Because d4, I mean, that's white dream. That's what he wants to do. He wants to play d4, put the knight on e3. He plays knight g3. Queen g4 is not accurate as well. Knight e6 was more accurate, because if queen h5, then knight f4. And if knight h5, then e4. Magnus not finding knight e6. That is very strange. Queen g4, and white is looking really good here. Yeah. So let's quickly take a look at this. What happened here? So why d4? Because if you take on d4, then white has a very important intermediate move. And if you play rook here, then knight f5 and knight e7. Nice trick, right? And if rook f6, then knight h4. And if rook f3, knight g6 with the idea of knight f8 check. Very computer stuff, I know. It's probably why he didn't play it. And then you have this nice, very nice transposition. For example, here, queen d4, and black is forced to a much inferior game, because, you know, white gets to those double pawns at the end, right? So d4, this is the reason why d4 was scary, and the reason why computer plays rook e5. But now, of course, white has superior pawn structure. Very solid passed pawn versus the unpassed pawn. If e4, then queen g3. The idea is f5, for example, then knight e3. And that knight on d8 is just absolutely horrible. That was a very bad move. You know, you're removing the knight from a really good position, and you can just repeat the position with basically rook d6, right? And it's a draw, but Magnus plays for a win. And we have here some moves. Knight h5, really not good move. I mean, you just win a pawn, but at a huge cost, and black is better, because those double pawns on f file, great f4 square. White is d3 pawn is going to be gone, and white is going to be much worse here. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how these guys, you know, Magnus has 6 minutes. You know, he has time to think, but he wants to press white so much into. He knows that white is time limited. Yeah, he knows he's just trying to press kid into making a mistake. That's what he's basically doing. That's called playing on time. I didn't expect that from the world champion, to be honest, but it is very effective. I've been known to be flagged and make critical mistakes in my time pressure. I mean, Tapalo did the same thing to me, right? He was just really playing fast, and I was getting low on time. And then when I'm alone on time, he finds a way to complicate situation, and I basically blunder. So that's like a basic approach to correctly flagging your opponents. Okay. This line is so hard to calculate. Yeah, exactly. Those knights are like crazy, yeah? So c4, the natural thing to do would be to take on d3, right? Rook d3 just transposes into the knight endgame, which is superior for black, because, you know, isolated pawns. So rook d3 would be a very normal thing to do. And, yeah, just exchange the rooks, knight goes, grabs the pawn. But Magnus might play rook d4, though. And because rook and d4 is just so magnificent, right? c5, correct. And so what's going on? Reshevsky was great at playing with note. Well, that's how he lost that famous World Championship tournament in 46 or 48, was it, right? He was getting all those great positions against Botvinnik, but he was getting long time, and Botvinnik kept killing him in his time trouble. There was like famous game where Reshevsky was winning with black against Botvinnik, and then Botvinnik plays like g4 from his king, and Reshevsky's like, what is this? g4, completely unexpected. And then he blunders something like in 2-3 moves from that moment, and Botvinnik wins the game, and he basically guarantees himself the title. And of course there was a huge controversy about that whole Keres versus Botvinnik, right? There was like historians still arguing like what happened, because Keres like was lost his 3 games against Botvinnik, right? And then when Botvinnik was almost guaranteed to finish first, then Keres kind of played for real and killed Botvinnik in the 4th game, right? That's like history. That's like ancient history, but yeah, I kind of like reading stuff about that, so it was interesting. Rook b7, 96, yeah. Rook b6, knight f7, knight g6 maybe, yeah. Okay, so black is definitely better here, right? He has superior pawn structure, 1-2, even though he is only 3 pawns to white's 4 pawns. But this is like superior structure, like this pawn on d3 is weak, passed pawn on b5, this pawn on e5, single pawn on e5 holds white's 3 pawns, d3, f3, f2, knight on f4 is worth at least the rook. That h4 pawn is going to be gone, and the only thing is, of course, what are you going to do? So this knight h3 check followed by rook h4 looks very reasonable. You know, sort of organizing this attack against white king with the minimal amount of pieces. 2 rooks and knight is still kind of deadly, and I kind of like that. So knight h3, rook h4 looks very reasonable to me. I mean, it's going to be really tough to put this all here, but let's try it, right? Knight d8, h4, h5, h4, h5, knight g3, queen g4. Again, d4 here was winning, right? So queen g4. Knight h5, terrible move. The reason why, because Alireza missed that he plays knight e3. Black has no f5 and he gets this g4 pawn. I mean, he might not get it, but it would have been much better than what he had in the game, because in the game he had this position, and knight e6, knight g3, knight f4, knight e4, b6, c4, rook d4, c5, right? Rook takes, rook b7, knight d6 has to be played, so we're getting this forced line. And knight g6, which was my first thought as well, sort of like trying to protect this pawn. But after h5, knight f4, this looks like a draw, of course. Rook d4, very nice move. Very nice move. I like this move. Kind of preventing white from playing d4 and centralizing, protecting his centralized knight. The computer likes rook h6 here, followed by rook h5, and now white king is like in a huge danger of being mated, which basically forces white to exchange knights at some point. And h5, rook f4. What? Ah, okay. Rook f4. Wow. Magnus is playing flashy chess here, yeah? Absolutely flashy chess. I mean, he doesn't have to. Why would he do this? Yeah, a simple knight f4 is also good enough. I mean, but of course he wanted to keep this knight. He would have played something different here, like rook d4 immediately, yeah? So, but rook f4, flashy chess from Magnus. In Alireza time trouble, who is low on time, and I guess the gamble paid off, yeah? Black keeps his e5 pawn, and yeah, he gets extra pawn for black with an attack going on. Unbelievable. I look like the vocalist of Radiohead. I feel like I'm a Radiohead. I feel like, you know, I'm a commentator Radiohead. I feel like I'm commenting on the football match between Barcelona and, you know, Real, yeah? And Madrid Real, or whatever. I feel like I'm looking at one like that. Yeah, Magnus is actually, he's trying to out-trick this kid in the tactics, yeah? And he's using a lot of stuff at his arsenal. The headphones... Yeah, sorry about that. It's just, you know, this is my headphones are the only way I can actually hear stuff. I don't have the regular audio output from my computer. And now we have the blitz games coming in. Actually, Alireza, he's dangerous in this type of positions, right? The black king on h5 is a little bit iffy. Yeah, some possibility of mate somewhere. If Magnus like blunders something, I don't expect him to blunder in this very simple position. Yeah, he just played king g6, and it's like knight on e3 controls the g1 square for the check. Rook on b6 controls everything else. b2. And what is white's plan? What is Alireza plan? What is your plan, man? Oh, he wants to play knight d2 maybe, yeah? Knight d2, so knight d4 check. Oh, king e3, rook f3, king d2, knight b3 check. Ah, and if king e1, then what? Rook h4, rook e5, king f1, correct, rook h4, king g2. And now the knight has to go back to f3 now. But white king goes to g2 now. No, not king g2, because rook g6 check. So wait, what's going on? What is Magnus doing? he has to play knight f3, right? He can't just give you the pawn. He cannot give you the pawn on e5 because then, if that pawn is gone, white king is going back to e3. And so nobody wants to give up his pawn for free. So there are two ways to play this. It's just rook b5 and make a draw, right? Or knight f3 and try to play for a win here. Magnus has 4 minutes. 4 minutes. So I don't want to switch to the analysis board because this is really complicated still. Black, pushed that pawn to b2 all the way to b2, hoping, to create some threats, but I don't see any threat. There is no way any black rook going to a1 or c1 anytime soon. But this position, right? So the computer says that black is winning by playing king g6 followed by rook g4 and then knight f3. Okay, so rook g4 is a threat, actually, I agree. But rook c2, rook takes b2 pawn. Oh my god, Magnus just missed it. But why was that king g6 was so good? Because if rook takes e5 and then rook g4 and then knight f3, rook g1, I guess, yeah? But after rook c2, this is just draw. This is just draw. Magnus should just take a draw. Okay, rook b3, and if rook b2, then rook d3, right? So he goes for that pawn. King g6, rook e5, knight f3 is a nice trick. Yeah, it's a nice trick. It's very computer bullshit, to be honest. Okay, rook b3, knight c5. Now this doesn't look good. This should not be good. Because of rook g4, maybe. Rook g4, no. Rook g4 is no good. Then why the computer doesn't play knight c5 here? What we are missing? We are missing something here. Is it rook a3 maybe? No. Could it be? No, I don't think so. Rook b5, rook bb2, yeah. What else? Knight d4, rook b2. What can it be? What am I missing? Rook g4, knight b3, rook g1, king e2, rook b1. King takes f3 and extra piece for white. Oh yeah, rook e4, knight d2. Nice, nice. Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, tactics. So these guys are blundering tactics. Yeah, Magnus is 3 minutes. He plays knight d4, so he is going for that. Knight takes b3, knight takes c2, rook takes b2, and basically a draw. Yeah, so this is just a draw. Yeah, going for a draw. King e2, rook takes f2. Okay. Why didn't have to do this? But king f3, knight b2, d4, draw. Bravo, good game, guys. Good game. I was absolutely drawing in the middle game, but you guys decided to go into this end game. Alireza took huge risk. Magnus takes huge risk, but in the end, you are equal in this game. Draw game. Knight f3. Why not something simple? Knight e2 maybe? Knight f3. Okay. Okay, so he wants to play king f4 and not allow black king to get to h4, h3. All right. Yeah. Will there be bullet swindle? Okay, so it's time to agree to a draw. What are you guys doing? Why, Magnus, why not just take his knight on f3? Oh my god. 91 check, yeah? 91 check draw? Or king g4? You guys gonna play this? Okay. Finally. Draw game. And in Giri Nakamura, what happened? Draw game. So Nakamura wins the match. Naka offers a draw in a better position. Very gentlemanly of him. And Firouzja loses a match with a minimal score to Magnus Carlsen in this absolute thriller of the match. You guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did commentating on this match. Those were absolutely magnificent games. We see a lot of blunders. We see great comebacks, right? We will never forget this Alireza Queen G6 mate stuff, right? In the second game, I'm pretty sure Magnus would still be pissed off about that game for quite a while. But, very solid game. A lot of mistakes, blunders, but that's life. When two strong opponents meet each other sometimes, and these moves are not obvious mistakes, right? So I guess that's it for today. And I'll see everybody next time for the next run. Okay? Stay safe, my friends, and see you.